Like, they disturb a nigga peace.
Keep talking. I'm gonna do a sound test.
It's all good. But shit, that, man, I just really want to push a good line too on social media. I said I want to let it be like about me pushing the line of health. It ain't even that I just don't, it ain't even like I'm trying not to offend nobody, but I know when I offend motherfuckers, people just report me, shrink my platform, stop it from growing before it can even get off the ground. You know what I mean? And that's the #1 killer. Like that, like people always like, oh man, you can't stop violence. Okay, all right, I get it. You may not be able to stop violence, but the #1 killer in black men is heart disease, and you can do something about that. Any nigga got the power to not kill himself with food, with cheap food, and you know, and no access. You don't have to do it. It's avoidable. Now, if you live in a poor area, you can't get out, you stuck around violence or something like that, there's a way to navigate to it, but you may not be able to stop it. But you can stop what's going. Like I was like, black man, you can't stop what's going in your mouth. If you can't stop what's going in your mouth, you ain't gonna be able to stop what's going in your ass. You know what I mean?
Let's do it big.
For sure.
Okay. Once again, we back. It's another Saint African production. We out here in the heart of Oakland, the town, and I'm with my brother here. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Ronald. Just Ronald.
Okay, Ronald. We're here with Ronald. That's a great name. That's my daddy name.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But Ronald means to conquer, and I spell it RAKNOW, so Ronald. It's kind of like just a flip on it because, you know, all I wanted was my plain name on social media, but I had to spell it a different way, and I'm like, okay, you know, bruh, I don't want.
We outside.
We live. We live.
Live with the ills of Oakland.
I would say I'm from West Oakland. I spent from the time I was born in Oakland, and I was in Oakland from, I'll say, the first grade, from birth all the way up to about the 5th grade. In the 5th grade, I moved to Richmond in the 5th grade to about the 8th grade, to about the 9th grade. Then I moved back to East Oakland, but I continued to go to school out in Richmond.
Okay, born and raised.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what would you prefer, Oakland or Richmond?
I definitely would prefer my city. I would prefer Oakland. Oakland is my family. It's everything who I am. It's my sense of pride. You know, Oakland taught me a lot, and I embody like the spirit of Oakland, so to speak, the old spirit of Oakland. You know, before the hyphy movement, because I'm older. I'm thinking about in the 80s. You know, when everything was still, like I said, I said it before earlier, you know, when Huey P. Newton died, we used to go put flowers and stuff on his house and stuff like that. And my teachers was ex-Panthers and stuff like that. So I came up very pro-black, you know. So I would say I took that and went with, you know, everywhere I went is that sense of black pride, and that's what comes from Oakland, you know. But I also love Richmond too, because Richmond is my adopted city, a very dangerous city. And moving out there from the time I moved out there, where Richmond was not only just dangerous, it was dangerous to Oakland cats, but I felt like for some odd reason, I was given a pass, you know? I was kind of like, I was treated as an outsider, but because I was treated as an outsider, I was given a pass. So all of the violence just went around me. To this day, I have friends from south side of Richmond, central, north, you know, all over. You get what I'm saying? So I definitely love Richmond, you know, and Richmond is, you know, where I started working at. Richmond was really inspiring to me, especially as a teenager being in high school, because Richmond was Chocolate City at the time I was there. They had the city, the mayor was black, the city manager was black, the city attorney was black, the chief of police was black, the fire chief was black, half of the city council members was black, the director of public works was black, the director of building services was black. So, you know, and I'm seeing this, because I became a father in high school at the time, so I had to go work for the city of Richmond. So I was seeing all this, I was like, man, I gotta stay here. That's why even when I was living in Oakland, I was just like, I was inspired by how black folks that took over Richmond. You get what I'm saying? So I love both, but I'm from Oakland.
Wow. So much I wanted to follow up on.
I'm sorry, man, because I'll just go, bro. You gotta, you gotta get me, because I'll flow.
That's what we here for.
Yeah.
You said old Oakland culture. What is old Oakland? Like, what is old Oakland culture? Cause even though you said Richmond House Chocolate City, Oakland, you had that black spirit too. The reason I'm asking is, what happened?
I think black culture became pop culture in Oakland, and we accepted it to our detriment. I get it, a lot of people like the music, they want to dress and act like us and stuff like that. But at the time I was growing up in West Oakland, we had, we had Hispanics, we had Cambodians and stuff like that, but these people had their own culture. They was off into like their own pockets of culture. And then black people had a sense of pride in Oakland. It wasn't nobody calling us nigga. We didn't call other people nigga to give them, if I call a dude a different race, hey, what's up, my nigga, or just if I use it loosely around him, then I'm inferring to him that it's okay to use this type of language. And that type of that wasn't going on when I was a kid. We had a real strong sense of pride, but I think I always thought it was weird because I always felt the sense of our culture being controlled in Oakland by other people. Even like when you looked at the radio back in the day, it was Sana G, non-black, but would get on there and diss black women. Trace and Franzen, Filipino and a white cat, they wasn't disrespectful to the culture, but if you still are the disc jockey playing the music, it's still like you're the ringmaster in a circus. With the crime and the sense of pride, when you get rid of the revolutionaries and that revolutionary mindset, there's nobody to push the culture forward. And a lot of people just want to be let out. A lot of people don't want to be responsible for the upkeep of their culture. They may talk about it, they want to participate in it, but it's the men that have to toe the line on it. So when you got rid of a lot of the elders, and it became, crime became dominant. And not only crime, success became dominant. And the success is rooted in money. So where the D-boy became dominant over the revolutionary mindset, and I'm not bashing none of these dudes I grew up with. We grew up like a rapper from the Bay Area like Paris, who pushed a hard line on being pro-black. Well, because he didn't do as good as some of the other, let's say, D-boy rappers and stuff like that, you get pushed kind of into the background, into like a state of irrelevance.
Right.
And so much of who we are as men, not just black men, is based on what do you have, what can you provide? What do you have, what can you provide? So drugs have always paid better than, being pro-black, right? It's like he got the knowledge and the info, but so. And it created that divide. So I think that's really what it does. That's not having that sense of pride and that breakdown, the generational breakdown. You're getting the fathers out of the home. You know how it go.
Yes, indeed.
If you're socially conscious and you have black pride, you can end up broke because now people don't want to do business with you.
Right.
There's so many other people, like you can just go to another black person that's not carrying that with them. It's not a part of who they are. They can put that down and just go and as long as we're asking and as long as nobody is forced to deal with you, then you'll have to shed part of who you are to do business with other people.
Agreed.
So it's not being the lack of being self-sufficient, because we should be able to self-sustain. Like, my people came to West Oakland from Arkansas and Texas to work in the shipyards. And at the time, West Oakland specifically was a very, very industrial part of just the Bay Area in Northern California. All of, from the shipyards to longshoremen that was led into truck driving. Even just like a lot of people don't realize, in West Oakland, Breyers Ice Cream and Dryers are next door to each other. And right across the street from there was Coca-Cola. So when they de-industrialized West Oakland, a lot of people a lot of men lost their jobs and their ability to provide. So it went, when you're a man and you ain't got nothing but your knowledge of self, like, you can't really feed nobody with that. You still gotta do those, still gotta be able to provide and stuff like that. And, That's one of the biggest breakdowns.
Your time in Oakland coming to age, how was that? How was Oakland for you?
Growing up in West Oakland, being born in West Oakland and living there, because I lived off of 5th and Henry Street, which is, below 7th Street. This was the 80s. Our drugs had just hit. A lot of people in my family ended up on drugs from crack to heroin seemed to be the drugs of choice. And then not to mention the backdrop, everybody's an alcoholic and everybody smokes cigarettes too. But really the crack and heroin, if you wasn't using drugs in my family, then you were selling drugs until you got of an age to where you started using drugs, So growing up in those times, I had issues and stuff like with my family, as many people do, but it wasn't that bad because although a lot of people around me was on drugs and stuff, but my mother wasn't on drugs. And so I because of that, I felt obligated to not do drugs myself, because I'm like, if she is the one person that's not going to do drugs, then I'm not. You know what I mean? Then I can toe that line. And then my father, he was like a health nut. My father was always into weightlifting, boxing. He was always in the physical activity. He carried it, his whole life. But just the drug scene and stuff like that as a kid, a lot of people in my family started selling dope in 4th, 5th grade, at the direction of their siblings slightly older than them, you know what I mean? And a little bit above them, and just going, West Oakland, it was crazy at the time. Like in Prescott, there would be so many times where there were shootouts in front of our schools, during our schools, people would get shot. We would find dope fiends shooting heroin in our bathrooms and all kind of stuff, So
let me ask you, this was, you seen the crack era in Oakland?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I heard it was wild here. Like somebody, an elder I used to work with, his name was Glenn. He was homies with the dude, his name's Felix or something?
Yeah, Felix Mitchell.
Yeah, telling me how he had a gold casket and like a parade.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was Oakland during the crack era?
I remember some of my family, this is before 1989, 88. I forget the exact year of that big earthquake that knocked down Cypress Village. And I used to, I heard it loosely said around that, Nino Brown was based on Felix Mitchell and the Carter was based on Cypress Village. And I had people who used to live in Cypress Village and stuff that used to sell dope like from a roof and drop dope down through a water hose and use a shop vac to pull money up from the roof. That way, by the time the police got up on the roof, they could just throw all the dope in the battery acid and stuff.
So it didn't come from the movies. It was happening.
It was happening. It was happening live and direct, man. It was wild. I mean, it was shootouts and stuff every day. A lot of people made a lot of money selling dope. Like even like me as a kid, like. It was crazy. As poor as it was, like I used to have like the big donkey ropes and 4-finger rings at 5 years old. Like, I used to have all of this shit because my older cousins, only people, they sold dope and I was like their little mascot. They would put all this shit on me at 5 and 6 years old and, in a way it influenced me in a good way to want to have something. But when I got older and I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. We selling dope and everybody on our family on dope? Like, that's lame. Because then I remember I had a girl came to school crying. I was like maybe in the 3rd grade, and they was like, we hadn't seen her for a while. When she came back to school, she was always sad. It was like, well, her mama OD'd on dope. And we used to hear about that. Then I remember it was a dude. Like, 'cause I don't want to say people, I remember these people first and last names, but I was always raised not to try to hang people out to dry like that, because they may still be dealing with it. But it was a cat we watched across the street from his friend and family shoot dope. That was maybe the first time we watched somebody OD off of dope. And now I remember I was in the 3rd grade and he was like, man, he overdosed. And I'm like, overdosed? He's like, yeah, he did. And I'm like, man, I watch people shoot heroin all the time and they just nod out, they come back and, they was like, nah, he dead. Like, so those would be the type of conversations. We had teachers, my mother caught my 2nd grade teacher smoking crack in the classroom while we was on recess. Well, it was as wild as some of the movies and music has depicted it. It was worse. It was that way, and it was worse for the people who lived in it. to have these, you know, like I said, I want to tell the truth as much as I can, but I don't, you know, there's still people in my family that are healing and dealing with their traumas like me. I've kind of made amends for it a bit myself from seeing other people worse. And you know what I mean? I had to weigh it out. It was like, man, as bad as it is for you, and then what can we really do with despair? What can we do with it? We can't build with despair. You get what I'm saying? But man, it was crazy. It was crazy to say the least.
Wow. Thank you. That's wild to hear, because I'm born in '88.
Yeah.
So my uncles, my dad's brothers, like I said, my dad don't drink, he don't smoke, because he's seen his brothers and my aunties. I seen them in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't ever realize like a lot of my uncles were so much in the church when I was a kid. But that's what saved them when they was out in the 80s running wild.
Mm-hmm.
My uncles, my aunties, but as well, that gives insight to why some of them was kind of off. But, you know, the kids born after that, we didn't know what they was doing in the 80s and 90s. Then we see old pictures of them, beautiful black women, beautiful black men. It's like, God damn.
And the drugs came and dried it all up. And I get it, man, it was hard. And at the time, I grew up with some very, very aggressive police. Task force, they used to wear, in West Oakland, they used to wear these blue jackets with yellow writing, Oakland Task Force on it, and jeans, and with jeans on. And they used to, you know, they was wreaking havoc. They was, you know, race soldiers, so to speak, you know? And, so it was like, man, to see that, I came in like at the tail end of the, as black, of pro-blackness. I was born into where it was dying out or being killed, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I still carried it with me because it was nothing else to carry with you. Just something like when you pour, the only thing sometimes you can have is your sense of pride and the respect that you have for yourself. That's why so many of us go to war over respect, because a lot of times that's just really all you have. Like, you can accept disrespect if you're going back home to a big house, a bunch of money and stuff. Like, this is small, but when you have nothing but your respect, you can't take any infringements upon it, you know, or you shouldn't.
And, you know, that's a big saying with black men. I die for my respect.
Yeah, I just said it not too long ago, to be honest with you. I was having a discussion, and I said, and like, man, how silly is that? How silly is it that I'm willing to die for something so, it's not tangible? Like right now, you're showing me respect, and in a split second, you can say, I no longer respect you, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, it can, you know, we could be out here fighting and rolling around on the ground. I ain't gonna get my respect back. So it's just like, you know, but that's the sense of that. But that's, again, you know, that's one of the things that is programmed into us. That, oh, you know, die for your respect. You know, man, that T.I. line, I don't know what you do for your respect, but I die for mine.
And you know, like we said earlier, the dumbest shit, we make it sound so good.
Yeah.
So good. Like,
we can make anything sound good. That's why they have to invest in us being stupid. The same way we can make that sound good, a brother can get up there and make Marcus Garvey sound good. You can make Khalid Muhammad sound good. That's the danger of it. We really can make anything poppin'. Like, you know, we can get anything lit around here. You know, there was a time, like, you know, where you had, you know, the Panthers got together and said, we ain't accepting no more brutality, and we just not going for it. We putting our foot down, and that's just it. And folks got behind it. So it's just like, you know, that's why so much is invested in us being stupid. So much. It's a $1 billion industry. How much is hip hop worth? If you got billionaire moguls inside of hip hop, how much is hip hop music worth in a whole? And how much of that is teaching you how to be a proud black man, how to be a proud black woman, a productive black woman, a successful black man? How many of it are get together?
your parents was from Texas and
my grandparents, yeah, my mother and father was both born here in Oakland.
Okay.
But my grandmother, my mother's side of the family is from Texas, and my father's side of the family is from Arkansas.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you about your parents. Say, what is from both of them, what is the most important wisdom that they gifted you with?
Man.
Example.
You know, my father, My father was always a part of my life, you know. There is like one of like, you know, a couple of my older cousins was telling me about my father today. He said, man, when you were a baby, you know, your father used to read you and him to sleep. He said when early as you were a baby, he'd come in there and my father would be asleep, I would be laying on his chest, and then a book would be over my back. He done fell asleep reading to us. He taught me how to work out, how to box. He taught me to work, to take care of my family, how to comfort my mother. My father was always a very, he was always, with his family, very loving and goofy. He was always pushing laughter on us, you know, because you down in West Oakland, you in a tough environment. It's important to be able to laugh, you know. And then, but a lot of people. My father was also a gangster. My father was nicknamed Doc. They called him Doc, not for a doctor, but for Doc Holliday, after the cowboy, for shooting so many people at a time, you know. My father had been convicted of a murder once and a manslaughter. My earliest memories of my father was going to go visit him in San Quentin, because at the time he was on a ranch doing time. He was a BGF. And he was pro-black. He got out of jail when I was maybe like 3 years old. And I remember lifting weights with my father. I remember getting good grades so he would take me to Toys R Us and to buy toys and stuff. I was always into toys, comic books, and that sort of thing, you know. So, and just spending a lot of time with my father. I just remember, up until I was 9, I remember talking to my father and walking, because he used to walk me to school every day. And I just remember so many talks and time spent with my father, you know, just how to be a man. And my father was alive right now. My father only wore tennis shoes to work out. You know what I mean? He was one of those cats.
Old school black.
Yeah, old school black man. You know, he was clean every time he left the house. You know, he's built a box to keep all his gaiters in. He used to polish he was real into his shoes and hats. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
That's that down south flavor.
Yeah, you know, he was into them gators and stuff, you know, and everybody's like, oh, you know, how clean he was. And then, you know, just having a sense of pride about himself, of how he took care of us, you know. He was a man's man, you know. And my mother to this day is probably one of the smartest and wittiest and funniest people there is. Like, I mean, man, moms could talk some shit. Moms introduced me to Curtis Mayfield as a little kid. The first thing I ever heard from I was so confused at the time. I thought it was Current. You remember that Curtis Mayfield? I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that nigga in the alley, I'm your doctor when you need it. Want some coke, have some weed, 2 bags, please. That was like, you know, my mother was playing stuff to me like that early on. I used to be like, wow, like just the concepts that she gave me. My mother was like pure, like brilliance and intelligence, how she could just identify and see things and then could flip it. She could put things in a certain way. She was really good with words, you know, so, and still is. Like I said, to this day, man, my mother is like one of the funniest, most witty people I know. And then like, I'll hang up the phone with my mother and I'll be like, damn, she just dissed me. She just hit me with some shit I ain't even seen. I gotta call her back. So yeah, absolutely, those things. And to always hustle, to be strong, and to be pro-black. My mother and father instilled that in me deeply. To not have any fear. You know what I'm saying? They raised me up like basically fearless to a fault almost. You know, I would have done better in life with some fear. You know what I mean? If I didn't push the line on things so much. You know, and
you kind of sound like me. You like to stick your hand in the fire.
Man, I live in it. I dance in it. You know, I'm a fire sign. You know, not to use astrology, but I'm a Sagittarius. I'm a father sign. I've always, you know, my favorite color is red. You know, so absolutely.
I would say coming of age. We kind of touched on this earlier, but I was gonna throw this in later. But fuck all that. Mm-hmm. You see, we always talk about the street takeovers, the sideshows. Yeah. So how was the sideshow culture during your days? How's it changed?
I was about, maybe 14 when I moved back to Oakland, and then I moved to 82nd and Holly. I was between one of my aunt's house on 82nd and Holly and my other aunt who stayed on 106th in Bancroft. You know, I was between there. especially when I would be over our house on 106 and Bancroft. You know, me and my other cousins that was a couple of years younger than me, we used to go out, walk up from 106 and Bancroft to Foothill to watch the side shows, you know. And I remember, and you know, this is a big deal to a little kid and stuff at the time. I remember, you know, getting to hang out as a little kid and talk to Drew Down and talk to Rappin' Forte and stuff. They would talk to us, you know, and they would be all, you know, little man, get your hustle on. Y'all can have old schools and stuff like that. So that's what, going to the side shows, we were seeing a lot of young black men who were experiencing success would spend all this money into their old school cars, into the music and the engines of their car. It was, of course, people were swinging donuts and stuff like that, but it was more about, you know, we out here doing good and we was flossing. And I remember coming to age, I'm like, yo, I gotta get a car. I gotta be out here. This is the part of the culture. I gotta have this, you know, because my father had Harleys and stuff too. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's culture. And my mother was into it. Like, my mother had fastback Mustangs and stuff back in the day. She was, you know, not that my mother was out swinging donuts and stuff or even at the sideshow, but it was a big car culture out here in the Bay Area. And the sideshow was one of the ways to display that. You know what I mean? By the time I had hit 18, 19, we was out there. You know, I had a Camaro. My homeboy, Toriano, he had a Chevelle. And we was out in Richmond, but we used to always come out to the side shows, and you know, and we loved it, man. It couldn't get no better. And then this was around the time Mac Dre was just getting out of jail, and when Mac Dre he put the side show on steroids. Like, he took it somewhere else. I mean, cats was out of cars dancing, like it had changed. You know what I mean? Like, it had really changed. I want to say, he made it Bay Area wide. It was kind of like reserved for Oakland, but like when Mac Dre came, it was like people from Vallejo, Frisco, everybody would come and meet up in the town and have these side shows and stuff like that, you know? But like I said, it's a big car culture, because as much as I was at the side show, I was also street racing down on 7th Street and street racing up in Milpitas, you know? But that was the time, you know, where it was still, I want to say, a bit of, the racial pride used to show itself in the car culture. This was before Asians and other people were trying to be black. There was a time where Asians wasn't trying to have Chevelles and Harleys and walk and talk and dress black. I used to take my Camaro and go out to the street races and race them against their Supras, their GTRs, and so we could still mix on some car culture, but you know, it wasn't like that. It's just like now is, you know, I guess everybody's into the way black people do their cars and bikes. It's the dominant way of doing things, you know.
No, I agree. I think that's funny. You saw my Mac Dre, because when I moved up here the first time for high school, it was like 04. I was confused, and I seen a video the other day of Mr. Fab posted it, an old hypey video. Niggas hopping out the bus and doing ghost ride, going dumb.
Yeah. I didn't. You know what? That's when I was, you know, and I know this is not probably going to go over well. I thought the hyphy movement, and don't get me wrong, I listen to Mac Dre's music. One of the best MCs to me ever. I say that right now. And I was also a big fan of Kick the Sneak. But I thought the hyphy movement was a lot of cartoon shit. Like, there wasn't, when I was out doing it, it wasn't, you know, I was around right before they started jumping on top of buses and stuff, and I was like, man, that was some clown shit. To me, it was about people building up their old schools and, you know, coming out, because it take, you got to be able to have some drive and skill to be skilled, as opposed to just, you know, but then, a lot of the other people came on when they started riding scrapers and all that stuff. I mean, me personally, people said it was hating. I felt like they didn't have no business at the side show. Like, if you couldn't swing it on it, but that's like and I know this not gonna go everywhere. You're gonna get some hate, and that was the broke era of the side show when people started putting crates and shit behind on the back tires so they could swing a donut. Like, if your car can't swing, go get your money up, go get you something that can swing, and come out here with the bars. Don't hit nothing. Don't tear up nothing. You know what I mean? But that was it. But like I said, I was a fan of Mac Dre and Kick the Sneak and still am, but I didn't like the cartoon side of what it did to the sideshow, you know.
That's funny, cause like I said, when I moved up here, that's what I seen. Like when I was at Pitt High, you got thugs and gangsters. They felt that with cartoon backpacks on, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like the little, little tiny kitty backpack.
Yeah. We didn't. I didn't subscribe to none of that.
Cause it was a culture shock to me, like.
And I didn't wear the white tees like a nightgown and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff that with the straps. I never had jabots with the straps. I had jabots back in the day that just had the little knife pocket, but I never had the. But you know, if that's culture, man, I don't want to. You know, if that's culture, that's culture. If a lot of people they liked it and stuff like that, I was always, like I said, I'm from the early '90s era. 501s in a t-shirt, you know, and you know that's where I was there, like, you know.
But no, I think it is culture, because like when I came up here, that was the culture, and I had to get used to it. But me, they was telling me I'm coming to school in Dickie suits.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Oh yeah, khaki suits, you know. Yeah. I was able to appreciate, you know, because I grew up on LA music, and I was able to appreciate the music and stuff like that. But I used to be like, yo, the khaki Dickie suits and stuff like that, I know that that's some LA shit, and it's cool. You get what I'm saying? Where LA and the Bay back in the day was able to meet in common ground at was, oh, we gonna both throw on these Cortez. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. We both was able to meet with that common ground. LA, they wanted to, you know, have their cars jump. I never got into that. You know what I mean? We was swinging, and that was the Bay pride. I remember B Legit had a line on the click. He said, "Fools burning rubber, fuck some switches. Niggas from the Bay smoking up on bitches." You know what I mean? So I like, you know, they do their thing and we do ours. You know, so.
And that's what I miss. Like, it's like I said. Now it seems like with the younger people, like a lot of Bay people that went down there, a lot of LA people that came up here. It's not. We don't have that regional culture no more. We can't
have it because of social media. It give it away before it can get cemented and stamped in there. Like now that everybody can see each other in real time, they're just going to do what's dominant and popular. Exactly. I miss that. You know, I miss being able to listen to the hip hop and be like, this is down south production. Like even like the early like Juvenile album, you listen to.
Yeah.
Manny Fresh, like that felt like New Orleans, like the brass sound of the horns and stuff, and the bounce, like you could feel that. But then, and I guess in order for it to grow, like, you know, or even just like everybody had like their own production, you know, and I want to say maybe Eric Sermon and maybe EPMD was the first ones to break out of that in New York. Was like, yo. We're going to do some West Coast sound. We're going to do...
We're rapping over funk.
We're going to rap over funk. And then right behind, boom, then you got Redman coming up there. And he doing you know, and I liked it when it was more regional. Because I appreciated it all, you know?
Yeah, like, it's so many regional dope albums. And it's like how you said Richie Rich earlier, you quoted him. We got people like DJ Quick in LA or Mac 10. We had all that.
Love DJ Quick and Mac 10.
Down South, one of my favorite albums. And I got on it late. And I don't even listen to 8 Ball MJG.
Yeah.
It's 8 Ball. It's his first album that don't
Immaculate production.
Fire.
Immaculate. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
And they rapping about some South shit.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I love that. Just like with Mobb Deep, I love them because y'all the young niggas in the hood rapping about some New York shit.
Yeah.
Opposed to like a Jay-Z, you much older than him, so you
oh man,
you the hustler.
We not finna do this. We not finna do Jay-Z versus Mobb Deep. Now we bringing our biases into this. You know I'm not a Mobb Deep fan. I can't sit through it. And but then I messed with Jay-Z was and it was hard. You know, it was hard to kind of go through Jay-Z because of the production, but he was another one of them who met us halfway with the production. He like, man, wait a minute, on the West Coast, they listening to music in cars. They got to sound right in the car. You know, so he able to meet us halfway, but like...
That's where he pulled me in at.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't listening to him, but I'll say the album that got me on Jay-Z was The Dynasty.
Yeah.
And now...
The Dynasty, immaculate.
It was Rick Rock.
Yeah.
Parking Lot Pimpin'. The one with the dog pound, Changed the Game.
Yeah.
It was the West Coast season.
Yeah.
That's how Jay-Z sold me.
Yeah.
He got the West Coast producers.
Yeah.
And it was popping. But there's something you said earlier, which I didn't like in the past, but I can appreciate Jay-Z. He made radio-friendly music.
Yeah.
So like I was telling my brother, if he was to do a versus, he's gonna wipe the floor because he can put anything on.
Yeah.
And that shit is gonna ring off.
And he's one of the best producers. I mean, performers.
Yeah.
He's definitely. I mean, you got to give him man his credit. Every time I've seen him, he don't rap over his beat. He really do it. You know. And I saw him at the height, at the Shoreline. I remember when him, Method Man and Redman was the opening act.
Wow.
Then Busta Rhymes was the first headliner. Then it was 50 Cent. This is Get Rich or Die Trying year.
Rock the Mic tour.
Rock the Mic. And then Jay-Z closed it. And I remember 50 Cent was out there, man, and they was trying to get 50 off the stage. And, you know, 50 was the hottest thing. He like, man, fuck them niggas, I ain't coming off the stage, you know.
Yeah.
Make me come off the stage. You know, could have been all been part of the show, you know what I mean? But I remember like, man, how is Jay-Z gonna top this? And I wasn't the, you know, this is 2002. I wasn't the big, Jay-Z best music to me hadn't happened yet. You get what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, but when he came out there, I'm like, yo, dude is like, he's not where KRS-One is, but he's that. He can move the crowd. He's an MC. He got it, you know, and I had to respect it. And I'm like, damn, man, you know, and then that's what really made me become a fan more of his. Took me back to Reasonable Doubt, you know, and made me start listening to that his first album. At first I couldn't get with it in the beginning because of the East Coast, West Coast beef, you know. And I was a kid when that was going on. I was like, man, fuck New York. Yeah, fuck New York. You know what I mean? It did like, I mean, you know, Pac was able to kill you off with one line. Like, oh, he said, Pac said, fuck the Fugees, fuck the Fugees. Fuck Mobb Deep, fuck Mobb Deep. Pac, fuck him. You know what I mean? Fuck him.
He got one of my favorite bars I live by of Machiavelli. Attack words being thrown.
Yeah, to explode on contact.
He was a beast. So my mouth,
Yeah.
throw these words. And the same thing I got from Khalid.
Yeah.
Strong language invokes strong emotion.
Yeah.
So don't be talking about me using words.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm talking like this.
It's the reason I'm talking like this. But everybody don't want to be woke up. That's the thing. That's the thing about it, bro. Everybody don't, you know. And then even when you wake somebody up, it's the way you wake them up. You know what I mean? If it's time to get up and go, I ain't gonna just throw the blankets off my kid. Come on, Jada, wake up. Come on, wake up, baby. It's time to get to school. Woo, woo, woo. But I ain't gonna just So it's the same thing like with social consciousness. Well, you can't just break it over their back, because what you're asking them to do is accept some responsibility that they don't know exists and probably don't want.
Right.
It's like you done gave me another, or you just didn't put it to the forefront. You get what I'm saying? And it's
I've learned if I have to coerce you into getting this, you don't want it.
Yeah.
And you ain't gonna be 100% down. But when you walk in on your own, we can meet.
But everybody got to get it a different way, though. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you remember Common said, and she was teaching me, not preaching to me, leisurely. Like, you know, when he made the song about hip hop. So it's just like, you know, sometimes it's just the approach. And I know I can handle the harsh approach. I get up in the morning and eat raw onions. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I can go straight. You know what I mean? I can take it that way because I know the benefits of it and I've already been there. But somebody else, they might have to start off in the morning with a small little piece of it. You know what I mean? So the goal is to get everybody there, because at the end of the day, it's all your people. Like when I was working as a cop and I would see a black man laid out, I didn't care what his politics was. It hurt it. You feel me? It hurt it. You know what I mean? I used to be like, man, you know, because I see him as myself on the ground. Or, man, this look dead on my little cousin. Or this look just like my brother. Or this look, you get what I'm saying? You see yourself in that. So, man, I want everybody to make it. So some people gotta be spoon-fed. Some people are already on it. Some people gonna pull you up. Brother, check this out. You could be like, oh, okay. You know, so at the end of the day, you know, I don't want to be on no kumbaya shit to try to sound fake, but I do want everybody to make it. And sometimes you don't know, some of the loudest people be the weakest people. They'll pick that shit up and then it's just like, I remember serving search warrants and shit where people would have a $16,000 AR-15 hanging from their neck, but scared to death to kick the door. Scared to death to go in the house. But then invested, you know, 2 months salary into a gun that they scared to use, terrified. You know, so.
Crazy.
Okay. Absolutely.
So moving on to the next, I was going to stay on hip-hop, but we get back to that.
Yeah. Hip-hop is a part of everything we do, bro. That music is the backdrop. It'll come back.
Oh, yeah. So, you brought up law enforcement.
Yeah.
So, you was police, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. I was the Fuzz. The Fuzz, Jake, 5-0, 12. I'm still trying to figure out how did it go from 5-0 to 12. I remember the show, how Hawaii 5-0 as a kid, so people just start going 5-0. You know, so I'm like 12.
Who said it? I don't know what.
I'm still trying to figure it out, you know.
I heard it.
You know.
But so how was that being
Like I said, I ended up in the 12th grade. My then girlfriend, now wife, got pregnant in 12th grade with my son, and I was working for the city of Richmond, and like I said earlier, and that city of Richmond was like Chocolate City. So when I was in the 12th grade, I was like, yo, I'm gonna need something more than what I'm doing working for the city. At the time, I was working for the city as a janitor. You know what I mean? I was working at nights. I was getting out of school and going to work all night as a janitor in City Hall, and then you know, coming back to school the next day. So I was like, yo, I gotta really become something. I gotta, you know, she's pregnant. I'm gonna have to provide for her because my wife was a really good student. So I was like, I don't want to do it. She always said she was gonna be a nurse, a pediatrician, you know, on her own. She was self-driven, self-motivated, making good grades and stuff in high school. So I'm like, damn, she's pregnant. I don't want to do no abortion because my mother was always against abortions. I'm like, I don't want to abort this, you know, kid, and I want to be there, and I gotta be able to provide for her because I wasn't even looking at it like we're gonna be married and spend the rest of our life together. I'm like, this woman is gonna bring my kid into the world, so I'm obligated to help her get where she was going, where she wanted to be, irregardless. Like we're gonna raise this life, but I looked at it like, yo, this is the greatest gift somebody can give me, and if that's what she wanted to do, and she wanted that before she met me, so we gotta, you know, we gotta keep that going. We gotta make that happen for her. So then I put myself through EMT school. Me and my partner Nez, we found the free EMT school when I was in the 12th grade. So I was working, going to hitting EMT school, and still being a student in high school. Long story short, the EMT program was put on by, it was a free program for Richmond residents, and it was taught by a lot of the black firemen for the city of Richmond. And I'm gonna just be a straight shooter. A lot of them dudes were sellouts, and they didn't want you in. You know, and reason being, the first hiring pool came up, 2,000 applicants showed up for 6 positions. Wow. So you got to think about it like, if in those 6 positions, those 6 ain't even gonna make it out to the public. If me and you are battalion chiefs, or you know, then you gonna hire your son, and I'm gonna hire my son, and then the next battalion chief say, oh, well, put my son-in-law on, or put my daughter on. So those positions is to come down to who you know. And once I seen that, I just I gave up on it. I was like, oh, this fireman thing ain't gonna work out, so I got to do something else. And then right around the same time, there was a black police officer. His name was Ronald too, and he used to talk to me because by this time I'm cleaning a police station at this time, with the little janitor job, and he used to always be like, man, you like being a janitor? Is that what you want to do? Is that how you want to spend your life? And you know, he would talk to me and stuff. He's like, man, you're gonna have to do something that your son could be proud of. You know, and you know, I told him my girlfriend was pregnant, and people was already foregone speaking that me having a son into existence before I knew it, you know. And I was just like, no. He was like, man, you need to be a cop. I'm like, man, I don't want to be no cop. And I was just like, man, I shrugged it off. I'm like, man, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? And
What was that though?
Because I didn't want to be a cop because a lot of my guys, I come from a long line of drug addicts, drug dealers, and just all around people break career criminals. So, and I'm like, I don't want to be the one to take them to jail.
Right.
And I had a lot of negative experiences with police up until this point in West Oakland. I never had a positive experience with a police officer. So here this dude was talking to me, trying to influence me to do this job, and I just went about my way. I kind of shrugged it off. I'm like, okay, and I continued to clean the police station. And then there was another cop that was younger than him named Jerome, and Jerome was a narc, an undercover cop, and I used to see him like he used to be in these undercover cars. He was like the Mike Lowry type. You get what I'm saying? The lack of a better, like, you know, he had a beard, he didn't, you know, and he was just like, he was like, man, what's going on with you? I was like, man, you know, Sergeant Ronald, he want me to be a cop. He said, man, fool, you better do it. And he said to me, like, man, look, I get to carry a gun, I get to drive as fast as I want, and blah, 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 I get to do all of these things, and I still wasn't convinced. Long story short, I got caught in a situation. I got caught in a bit of trouble, and Sergeant Ronald was the one who called me, and he said, you know, if you apply to be a cop, I'll make this situation go away for you. And I was just like, I got to do it now. So then I went and I applied to be a cop, and at the time I was, me and my wife was going to CC College for general. I was just going. I was in there for general education. And then my application got rejected because I didn't have enough college credits. And then I looked at it, I'm like, man, this job is starting off at 100,000. I'm like, man, okay. And then like, I always, my mother used to tell me to become a cop or be a CHP or a sheriff. And I used to be like, I didn't want to do it, you know, but my mother knew I was going to be in the streets. My father was in the streets. So she looked at it like, play that role in the streets. Nobody in our family has played that role, Since you want to be in the streets, do that. So that was the influence. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So then as I got more college credits, then I went and turned in another application. You know, maybe a year later, because you have to basically have an AA or close to it.
Right.
So for Richmond, some places don't require college, you know, but Richmond had the highest reading standard of any police department in the area. You know, so that's why I was like, that's what made me do it. And then once I turned in my application, I made it through the process faster than anybody I've ever known to become a cop. From the time I put in the application, from the time I was in the police academy, it was less than 30 days.
Wow.
Normally it's 6 months to a year process,
Right.
But they were pushing because of Ronald. They were pushing me. Like he had said in a certain name to certain people, and they were pushing me hard to get in because they had hired a couple brothers, but they were some of the racist training officers were pitching what they said they were pitching a 3-year shutout, meaning if you got hired when you was black, we'd just drop you in the training process. So in between me and my homegirl, who was also a Richmond cop, there's 3 years between me and her, and there's no blacks in between that gap. But there's a bunch of cops in between there, but none of them were successfully black that made it to the program. So I broke the 3-year shutout. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's how I got started in law enforcement.
Dope. That's wild, man. And what age was you?
24.
24, okay.
24 at the time.
Wow. So, here we go.
Yeah.
As a black police officer in California, like, how was your experience within the system? Within just that institution? I experienced racism like fresh out the gate. You know, Cass was trying to get me fired in the police academy, saying I bullied them or something like that, because I just didn't take no shit. Like I said, I grew up with a lot of racial pride, and I'm like, yo, we not finna do no black jokes. We're not finna confirm or even try to dispel any stereotypes you heard about us. We leaving out the table because it was 63.
it was 64 candidates in there, and only 3 of us was black. It was 1 other black man and 1 black female. But they talked the 1 other black man out of quitting early on. You know, it was like, because he was out of shape. And you know, if you out of shape and you went to the police academy I went to the second most physical one in Northern California, which is the Contra Costa County Sheriffs. The only one more physical than that is the Alameda County Sheriffs. They were known for flunking the most people because of the physical demands, because the state requires a physical demand, and you can't make it easier than the state, but you can make it as hard as you want to. You can go up from there, you know, on the physical standards. So I went into it in really good shape, and that's what ultimately one of the things that carried me. And then going through the police academy, I learned early that I didn't panic when under bad situations. I was able to always keep a calm head because of what I went through growing up, you know what I mean? So I was like right where I was supposed to be, but I experienced racism, you know, early on.
In like what form, like racism in what way? Are you speaking from your fellow quote-unquote co-workers, right?
Yeah, like for example, one of the times I was in the locker room and there was a Hispanic cat that was trying to, because see, to go into the police academy, you could be sponsored through by a police department that sends you there, like a regional academy. Right now here in Oakland have their own police academy. But Richmond, some of the smaller departments, they'll send somebody to a more regional academy that they don't have the resource for their own academy. So they had a Hispanic cat that I was cool with, who put me on. We'll just say his name is T. He was in the locker room, and there was I don't even remember the racist white dude name, but T was saying, yo, I just applied to Berkeley PD. I'm trying to get on there, because he had sponsored himself to the academy. And I remember the white dude was just like, man, the only way you're gonna get hired in Berkeley is if they need a leaf blower, and you're not getting a gun, they're gonna arm you with a leaf blower. And then I remember when he said that, you know, this is a white establishment, a lot of white races, all, you know, alpha males or something like that. So he was scared to speak up. But at the time, I had a good full-time job for the city of Richmond, and I just was never scared. And I just was like, yo, I was like, and T didn't want to challenge the dude saying it. I was just like, yo, man, what you said was out of line, and you shouldn't talk like that, you know, or something like that. But then he went and told the administration that I had challenged him and all kind of stuff, and he made up a bunch of lies on me, so to speak, to try to get me fired, you know. So they came up to a thing, and they were just like, basically, they were just like, all the 3 of y'all get up in front of the class and apologize, or y'all all getting kicked out of the academy. So I didn't say his name. He apologized, and the white cat apologized, and he was scared. And they was like, if Ronald don't apologize, everybody getting fired, you know. And I was like, well, I don't apologize, fire us then. Like, I'm cool with getting fired, because I was basically a full-time employee for the city already as a painter. So I was just like, and I was, as a painter at the time, I was making like $4,400 a month, but I took a pay cut of $2,400 a month to go into the academy. So, and I remember I had to sell a lot of old shit. I sold my '67 Firebird. I had to sell things to survive in the academy. So I was like, man, I don't need this shit. I'll go back to my other job, keep going to CC College, and I just keep going like this. I never wanted to be this. You get what I'm saying? And it basically punked them, and they was just like, oh, we can't kick him out. But then that it made it back to the police, to Richmond PD, like, yo, he stands his ground against racism. So that's what already, my reputation preceded me before I got out of the academy. You get what I mean? So when I went back there, everybody was just like, we're gonna show him. We're gonna break him. You know, and that's part of that, because the police department is a paramilitary organization, the same way like the OGs, the older, more senior people will haze the rookies and, you know, give them a hard time. But I never saw myself as I might have been a rookie in the police department, but I was not a rookie in the game of life, because I looked at it like, yo, I got a woman and a kid to provide for, and I do it just like you. I'm a man, I come here and I go work. And regardless of how much the amount on your check is, it still say the city of Richmond. Right. So nobody's punking me. I'm not accepting it. Ain't so big little homies, none of that. Yeah, ain't none of that going on. That's out. That's ending right now with me, you know. And I went through a lot because of it, you know. But that was my intro into Man, I could speak forever about that, you know.
But no, thank you. So let me say, like, just being on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
How was the experience policing the street?
It was when I finally decided to become a cop, when I was talked into it, I said I would only do it in Richmond and Oakland, where I grew up at, in the cities I grew up in, because I always felt the deep need and the obligation to serve the people. The same way when I was trying to pursue being a fireman, I said I only want to do it in my city. Right? And I go tell a motherfucker, my wife matters. Protect my wife. Man, that's your wife. Man, that's your woman, man.
And you know? Like with Black Lives Matter, we telling them it's gonna be like, where's the black protection?
Yeah.
So if that's the problem, to me the solution be like, we got the black protection. But I do want to touch on this later too. We talk about training. I was happy to see black people talking about guns during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
My only gripe was that I kept asking the question, who are the guns for?
Yeah.
Because y'all ain't saying what we got the guns for. You just saying we got them and y'all having fun like they toys.
Yeah.
Who you gonna shoot?
Yeah.
Because it just seems like now the guns is still being used on us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, one of the things I can say is I was happy to see people participating in legal gun ownership. Because I always advocate, man, not because I'm a retired cop, I always advocate for everybody to be lawful, because I'm not finna tell nobody to do no law breaking shit, because don't call me, I ain't got nothing on your bail, and I ain't got nothing on your lawyer fees. You know, I'm just keeping it 100, right? Like, maybe if I was, a billionaire, trillionaire, I could afford to, I'd say, yeah, do X, Y, and Z, and I got you. But I don't. So I'm not advocating for nobody to break the law. I was happy to see that. I think it's dangerous to say who the gun is for. I like to leave that open.
Okay.
I like to leave that open to behave. I protect myself based on someone's behavior, not based on someone's race, not based on their sexual preference, not based on what their political agenda is. It's about the behavior. When I was working as a cop, it was like, no, you use your gun to protect your life or to protect somebody else's life, irregardless of politics, race, gender, or creed. So I would say be careful of that. I see a lot of black influencers on social media. I see a lot of women and I see a lot of men advocating that people go get guns. I believe guns don't belong on social media.
I agree.
Reason being, anything you say or do online will be called into court. It's public information. So when you take a certain stance about what you're going to do, who you're going to do it to, you having this type of gun, having this type of training, all of that is going to be brought in there. If you don't want somebody to bring it up in your trial, don't do it. At any given time, we're all one decision away, not even one decision away, because everybody break the law every day. Don't nobody get in the car, hop in the car and do the speed limit, set their cruise control at 35 on the street and then set it at 65 when they get on the freeway, right? Everybody breaks the law, just rather a matter of come down to you getting caught. So when you get called into court and you just said all this stupid shit, all this tough guy shit, this black national shit, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna kill this person, I'm gonna do all of this dumb shit, then guess what? Now you gotta answer for that. That's most shit your lawyer gotta clean up to. And last time I had a lawyer, I was paying $700 an hour, right? So that's more shit that your lawyer gotta clean up with because you didn't sit up there and ran your mouth looking for some attention. Power is best kept concealed. I understand people should promote training, but this whole tough guy shit and being seen with a gun, trying to get a gun for clicks and views and shit, that shit is lame. It's fucking lame and it's dangerous and it's gonna get somebody hurt. You know, that's why even I advocate training. I'm a firearm trainer myself. But even then, do I want to be recognized as people get to know my face? That's the gun guy. Man, because when I go out, I'm not the gun guy. I'm the fun guy. I'm here with my wife. I'm trying to chill. I'm here with my partners. I'm here to laugh it all up. I don't even want that stigma hanging over me. I don't want that. It's not good. And people will see your Instagram before they see you.
Facts.
You know what I mean? I remember when people used to tell me, like, all the time as a police officer, the district attorney gonna read your police reports long before they see you. And then when they pick up your police report and read it, they're gonna determine whether you're a dumbass or whether you know how to write or not. It's gonna be made a long time before they even see you. So that's my whole thing. I just tell people, man, stay off online doing all that shilly shit, showing your guns and showing this and showing that, because it's gonna get called into court. Even like somebody getting in there saying, oh, I'm a tough guy, I can fight this good, but then you end up in a confrontation and having to draw a gun and shoot somebody, they're gonna go right to your Instagram and be like, I thought you could box. Right. Why didn't you diffuse this with your hands, Mr. Professional, Mr. Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, Mr. Wrestler? Why didn't you? Oh, okay, so you get what I'm saying? Front. Yeah, whether you front or not, a lawyer gets to use it, it gets to make their case off of anything. Everything you didn't went out there online and said about yourself is all tools at their disposal.
Yeah, and that's the key thing with not being discreet. Just doing too much goofy shit. Yeah. Because you know that with media, that ain't our media.
Yeah.
As soon as a lovely person in our community gets killed, what's the pictures they use?
Yeah.
And you was just having fun, holding money, holding a gun, or digging in somebody's booty hole. But that's how the world's going.
And more than that, like I said, if we on the topics of guns, I've been shooting professionally for over 20 years. We are the most we as black people, speaking in Northern California, and even like Southern California, I did a bit of shooting down there. When you go to our shooting ranges around here, the smallest number, the least number you'll see is black people. You'll see, every now and then you see some black females, but largely you're gonna see the majority of Asians, Indians, and white folks. So with Indians being the largest community, and I went to college, with some Indians. I know some Indians that spend more time at the range than I do. I've never seen them online talking no gun shit. I don't see you know what I mean? Like I don't see that. I don't see that big mouthing from them. And trust and believe, like I said, man, a lot of these, Charleston White is gonna get a lot of people hurt. I'm friends with a lot. I know a lot of Asian people. I've trained the Asian people. Asian people might occupy shooting ranges more so than anybody. I don't know if I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but they are there spending time and money on training and weaponry more than anybody else I know. Man, people put too much stock in the gun. It ain't the gun. Like right now, I can go buy the same exact basketball, shoes, jersey, and shorts that Stephen Curry got. I cannot shoot the ball like him. Nothing close to it. Nothing close to it. So it comes down to the training. It's about who you are, and then humility. How much humility do you have? I don't want to be in a gunfight. I don't want to be in a fist fight. I know that I can fight because I spent so much of my adulthood in a boxing gym. But I don't get out on the street and fight because I'm humble. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for the ability to be able to protect myself if that situation presents itself. But ultimately, I want to avoid the situation altogether. Because like I said, when I want to test my physical strength as a man, I can go right to the jiu-jitsu gym, get spanked, might, go to the boxing gym, might win, might get spanked up a little bit, but it's in a controlled environment, and it's a learned environment. You know what I mean? So the rest of this, it's too much cowardism. Even though we think as tough guys, as black men, a lot of people get respected for being shooters. 90% of the shooters is just straight cowards. This ain't like some military shit where I put on a uniform and then traveled over to where war is at. You can see me. I'm wearing the uniform of the person that's in war against you. Now let's engage in war. Black men are just sneaking and shooting each other off guard. Coward shit. Ain't no war. Ain't no war. It's just straight coward shit. You get what I'm saying? And that's the type of shit that I can't stand for. You know what I mean? Like, just coward shit. That's why I don't never open up my training to who I'm gonna train. I like to only train like a black man who got his head on a family man, somebody I can give some skills to, and he gonna teach his kids how to protect themselves, and they gonna be humble and go through life. I don't want to help fuel somebody else trying to go shoot nobody else. It's lame and it's coward shit. And get all the fucking guns off social media. it's a double-headed sword because you have to advocate for the training and you want to advertise the training, but it should be done with taste. You know, all of this, look at my gun and silly shit, like get out of that cartoon shit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's all across the board when dealing with quote unquote our people.
Yeah.
The advertisement is goofy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And because how you look at it as the gun, that's how I look at these mental health nuts online.
Yeah.
Like if you're
some, the vast majority, the loudest, if we were to take black people and put them in categories and make them people, the pro-black movement, the hip-hop movement, it's the intellectual movement, the scholars, the dummy got the biggest blowhorn, and we give the dummy the most attention. That's the problem with us. Is like at the end of the day, I know McDonald's has the strongest advertisement of any place that produces food, period. They worldwide. But you got to educate yourself and to know, like, yo, that's not good for me. At least if you are going to participate in it, in moderation, mixed with some other healthy eating and exercise and stuff like that. But you got, just because that's the most popular don't make it the most healthy, don't mean it's going to sustain you. And it's the same thing like with that. More goods than any other race of people in this in this country. So based on that, a lot of the commercials is to us, by us, directed towards us because they know we're going to consume, and a lot of times consume with very little skepticism. You know, I remember, not to go off on a tangent, I remember when I was big into riding motorcycles, and I had a Ducati at the time. It's an Italian bike. So I went to an Italian place to buy this Italian bike, and I bought an Italian leather jacket. I bought a Dainese jacket. It's like Dainese is like one of the, maybe the top motorcycle line and stuff you can get. And I bought this red leather jacket. And I remember I spent $800 on this jacket. And I saw one of Floyd fights, and Floyd had on this clean Gucci bomber jacket. It was like 15 years ago, and I'm like, man, that's a clean jacket, because one thing about Gucci and them, they hijacked the red, black, and green. So all I saw was a black leather jacket, and then the bands, you know, on the little wristband, the elastic part was red, black, and green. The Garvey flag, I said, I gotta go get that jacket. So I went to Gucci in Frisco, and I picked this jacket up, looked at the jacket, I tied it on, and the jacket was $3,800. The jacket that I wore to the store was $800. And I looked at, and I'm looking and I'm comparing. I say, both of these jackets is made in Italy. They're both Italian. They're both Italian leather. I pull on the sleeves of the Gucci jacket, and I rip the sleeve from the, what's the name, just to see if I could do it. Wow. Because my jacket is saying you could slide on the ground at 140 miles an hour and the jacket ain't gonna open up. So I started thinking, I'm like, well, where's the value at? This jacket right here is solid red. It's harder to produce red leather than it is to produce black leather. Here this jacket is, it has carbon fiber pads and stuff inside of it. It's engineered well, it's cut, and it was also tapered to my body. For an extra 13%, they cut it and tapered it to your body. So you know, you go to Frisco where they order them at, they made in Italy, then they taper them right to your body. So I said, what is this $3 grand for? What is the extra $3 grand of value? Where do I find that at? I don't. So that's when I was like, I'm through with this designer shit. This is monkey shit. This is monkey shit for me. Then you have to put on your name so I can feel some sort of value about myself. You get what I'm saying? That was what broke me out of it, because I never used to wear Gucci. I'd be like, Gucci is lame anyway. I used to be Louis Vuitton down. I used to buy like whole fall collections of their shoes and stuff at the time, because I was such a sneakerhead. And this was the time when they had the African cat and Kanye West was over there drawing their shoes. So their shoes was on point. And plus my middle initials is LV. So I'm like, man, this me, this me, it fits, right? Like, you know what I mean? So but then when I started looking at it, I was just like, man, am I putting this on because I'm eating trash food and I'm putting expensive clothing on my body? I got this wrong. Let me flip this, you know. But it was the jackets that made me compare, you know what I mean? To be like, where's the value at in this?
Oh, that's real right there.
Yeah.
That's the labels. That's why, you know, niggas say I ain't fly. I'm an Old Navy nigga.
Yeah. I feel it. I feel it.
Old Navy jeans. Cause I used to wear a bunch of Levi's and pro clubs. I got back in the pro clubs last year because I went back to LA, and I felt more comfortable. But Old Navy jeans and probably a plain T-shirt. I'm good. Like,
yeah. I love the Hanes shirts.
Okay.
You know, cause I'm thin, and you know, so I wear the slims, and they, you know, but yeah.
That's the thing when I can feel like $1 million with $40 outfit on.
Yeah.
Cause it's in me.
Yeah.
I don't need that goofy shit.
I mean, you know, for the past, I don't know, 15 years, maybe 20 years, I've only worn one brand of jeans, and then I got them on there, Ironheart. The only jeans I wear, all they jeans are $500. Like, you know, but I started out wearing them like for motorcycles, and because they got an M on the back. They really for motorcycles. A lot of people know what they was, and I wanted to wear something Japanese made. I wanted to get away from Levi's. I didn't like the way I didn't like the politics, you know. And we ain't even gotta really go into that. But I knew one of the sales reps, and he used to give me the shit you know, we used to barter for me teaching them how to shoot. Not even me spending my money, but I can appreciate the quality of it. So that dude don't have that job no more. So my relationship with Ironheart is basically coming to an end. Unless I know somebody else, you know, because I ain't spending it like that no more. I didn't, you know, but the quality is there. But there's stuff that don't have to, that's just as good as quality, you know. Like now, you know, technology came and they putting Kevlar in all of the jeans, all of the motorcycle stuff. So, you know, but man, and then I also like the fact that they don't really put a sign on their shit. You know what I mean? I don't like signs. It's like I don't like, you know, especially for these. If you are small moms and pops trying to get your brand off the ground, I'll wear your shit. I'll wear it and I'll support. But these big, huge corporations, I'm not wearing your shit for free. I'm not giving you that free advertisement. You know, and I'm just little old Ronald. Yeah, I get it. I'm not important enough to get no sponsorships from you. So we just not gonna have a relationship. I'm just not gonna wear your shit. You know what I mean? Now, if you want me to wear your shit, come give a bunch of your shit away to the homeless people or something like that. Come give it away to some poor people. Then I'll be like, okay, I can support the movement. Right. But just your name, fuck your name. You know what I mean? Fuck these people's names. Okay. You know?
Training, the training. I do want to touch on this. You just kind of did already, but I do want to say I've been saving this for a minute. So the first time I got notice of you was 2015, and I ain't forgot this. You may remember I went to the range in Dublin. And I knew I followed you, but you know, you see people, you just don't be looking, like, you pay attention. And I mean, first time I shot an AR-15. And you popped in the comments and was like, hey, raise your shoulder up like this and that. He's like, I do firearms training. And I was like, thank you. And that's when I really got notice of you back then. So I definitely want to say that. Just that tip. I don't know if you remember that?
Yeah, I remember now that you put it up. Yeah, absolutely. Man, you know, there's so many times when you're on social media and you want to say something and you don't. But when people are mishandling firearms, it pisses me the fuck off. You know what I mean? And I look at it like a teaching moment, like they don't know, because you can draw a gun to protect yourself, but if you're not proficient, you can end up hurting somebody that doesn't even need to be hurt. Somebody could be running at you with a knife, and rightfully so, this man could be to take your life, and you can shoot him and somebody behind him. Or you can miss him and get the person behind him. Now your life is taken, and now he finna stick everybody around here because you missed the shot. You get what I'm saying? So I just really feel like I really advocate for training. I believe everybody, every stable-minded person lawfully should own a gun, period. Because like I said, I don't advocate for nobody to break the law. I ain't coming to get you. Got nothing on your bail, nothing on your lawyer. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just getting by. I'm a retired man on fixed income. You get what I'm saying? I can't afford to come help you, you know? But owning a gun lawfully and then putting the training in everybody, I ain't gonna say everybody else, a vast majority of people are not comfortable just buying a gun and not having any type of training. Like, really, do you have the confidence of it? And I've asked some of my friends this. I said, man, if somebody's holding the knife to my neck and you over there by them stairs and you got your gun, do you have the confidence to take this shot? Have you did the training? Literally, do you have the confidence to take this shot? Or do you have to wait for this man to cut my throat and then you shoot him? Or do you pop me? Right? I mean, you get what I'm saying? Do you really have the confidence to make these shots? And then when you have the confidence, one of the things is, if you're proficient with a weapon, it buys time, right? If you are, if me and Mike Tyson get into a shouting match, he can argue with me all day because he knows he has the physical ability to end it. So he can let the verbal match go longer than somebody else who may find me intimidating, right? So it's the same thing with a firearm. If I'm proficient with my firearm and I'm secure of who I am, meaning I'm absent of fear, I can put the fear to a minimum. And I'm like, yo, I can maybe talk this out. It doesn't have to go this way. Or I can change the trajectory of where I'm standing to make me a harder target. There's other things that you can do than to necessarily draw the firearm. You get what I'm saying? And people know in your body language, you know somebody who actually knows how to box when they stand versus somebody who's playing. And it's the same thing with a gun. Like, when you see the way a SWAT team or these other people move with a gun, it's very intimidating. You don't even have to get shot. When you see them all moving in unison and they moving and their head ain't going up and down, where you can know that they're gonna do a stable, even shot at you, it's intimidating. So just by I feel like the training also, it's just like any other martial art. The more we do martial arts, and the more proficient we come at it, the more likely you are for us to want to have that physical confrontation, because we already know what we can do physically, right? We don't have to take it there. And then I know if you decide to take it there, I can handle myself. And if you decide to take it there, then it helps us be more civil, is what I'm saying. If everybody's empowered, versus you got just one or few dudes running around here with guns scaring people. That ain't fair. That ain't right. You get what I'm saying? It's like a big dude, it's like a 12th grader going up to a junior high school picking on people. Now he gets to be a dictator. You know what I mean? He gets to do what he wants to do because there's nobody to keep him honest. So I really advocate for training, being proficient with a firearm, because there's nothing to play with. When you draw a gun, it could be the hugest, the biggest liability. It could be the biggest mistake of your life, of somebody else's life, bodies, you know, plural, you know. So training, be proficient.
How often do you train?
Every day. Every day. You know, every day that I'm not busy, that's the goal every day, because there's things called like dry practice and stuff like that you can do with your firearm that you should do every day. Every day you should check the status of your weapon. You should make sure it's clean and it still has a round in it, you know, or, you know, you need to know the status of your weapon. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, you want to train often, you want to train well, and then you generally just want to be a nice, respectable person. I always try to remind myself, when I do any type of business transaction, I don't care if the person is older or younger than me. Sir, thank you, sir. Sir, this, sir. I mean, go through life as a gentleman with respect, and it comes back on you, man. Like I said, I'm not a big dude, but people don't pick on me because of how respectful I am. Even like when I was a cop, people was able to see that, yo, they knew when I spoke that I was genuinely there to help. Even if they was too upset they would cuss up, I stand back, let them cuss, let them mouth off a little bit. Express yourself, man. I just want to help. I just want to do my best, you know. And it always worked out for me. So I do advocate for training. Like I said, if you can own a gun, you should. And train often. And that's it, because we live in some crazy times, man.
Right.
There's too many times where a crazy man gets to jump in the room with a gun and there's not someone else trained, proficient, and ready to deal with that person. You know what I mean? Somebody like Dylan Roof running up in a church, he shouldn't have been able to do that. And he did this in the South. This is gun country. Like, I could see you kind of getting by with something like that in California, where we've made guns the boogeyman. Guns is bad. We need to get the guns off the streets. Oh, that's silly shit. You know, but to pull that off in the South?
On some elders. There was no
at A&E, was it A&E? A&E, and A&E's been a victim of terrorism before.
Always.
Come on, man. That shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I look at it as it's a ritual.
Yeah.
It was a straight ritual, and he executed well.
Yeah.
Say no get back.
Columbine, all of these things. Because like one of the things that I try to do, I want to keep some when we talk about firearms, I want to always peel the race off of it and keep some transparency about it. You know, because one of the things is they may always try to say we're leading in shooting and killing and stuff, and we're not. We're doing more wrong to our people, but largely, right? You know, but, you know, 60% of all handgun deaths is suicide, mentally ill. What is that? People who already have a gun and they don't take that, and the county don't take those 72-hour holds serious and let them right back out. You know, but then we talk about we need to clean the guns up. No, it ain't the gun. It's the human being. It's the mindset. And people say, man, do guns make killing more convenient? Maybe, depending on who you talk to. How many lives was lost between the Hutus and the Tutsis with the Hotel Rwanda? How many was it? 100,000 people hacked up with machetes? Come on, man. Come on, man. You ain't never.
So it ain't the guns.
It ain't never the gun. Don't demify the gun. Love the gun. The gun is your friend. You get what I'm saying? If anything, to hate anything is the bullet. The gun don't kill you, it's the bullet.
So let me ask you this. What are let me 3 recommendations you have for somebody who never owned a weapon and they thinking about going out and purchasing one in California?
Man, this is a topic of a lot of, in the gun world, I get in trouble for this because the vast majority of the gun world are Glocks. Because I'll say this about Glocks first. Glocks are dependable, they're reliable, they're accurate, they're affordable, they have the best aftermarket support of any firearm. If you're trying to find a holster, if you're trying to find whatever you're trying to find for your firearm, if you have a Glock, you're gonna do it much easier. So when people ask me about a Glock, you know about guns, I say Glock. They're tried, they're proven, and you have some of the most best aftermarket support, you know, with holsters and, you know, different things like that, you know. My personal favorite is a 1911. That's what in the 10 years I was a cop, I carried a 1911. When I first started, when I was 21 years old, I remember, like I said, when I was a teenager, 1996, Drew Down was promoting his album. He was on 106, I think, in 105th and Foothill, right by the sports page, right? And he was talking to us, and he gave me and my little cousin a CD. And that's when Can You Feel Me came out. I know I tell long-winded stories, but it had a part on Can You Feel Me. He said, so I took myself to Traders, bought myself a 4/5 and some clips. Shit was getting hectic. And I remember that. But at 16, I wasn't able to do that. So when I turned 21, I was hell-bent on getting a 45. And then growing up, seeing dead presidents. You remember before that, Boys in the Hood. Doughboy, what did he pull out? 1911. We got a problem, he pull it, boom. And I was like, and it caught my eye. So then in Dead Presidents, you remember Boss Man Cuddy the Pimp, when he cocked the gun, he walking down, chrome 1911. The girl in Dead Presidents, when she bust out with the two, two 1911s, right? So I went to, I turned 21, I was like, I'm 21, I get to go buy my first gun. I'm excited, go down there. And I wanted to get a 1911, but at the time I couldn't afford one. So I'm like, they were like all like 1,300 and plus. So I knew I wanted a 4.5 and some clips. Like I do what Drew Down said, right? So that was like, man, give me the Glock 21, which is a 45 caliber. He said, man, you don't want that shit. This is the best. This is the best of both worlds. It's between when you put together a Glock and a 1911, you get a USP 45, a Heckler and Koch, right? So I was like, oh, okay. So because you can carry it cocked and locked like a 1911. The people who know that know what I'm talking about. So that's what I bought. I bought that Heckler and Koch, and I went to the shooting range and started shooting from there. And I developed a lot of bad habits. And I thought I was doing good, but I wasn't. A couple years later, I'm in a police academy. I hit the police academy with this Heckler and Koch, because Richmond is one of the few police departments where you can carry any gun you want at the time except a 9mm. You have to have a 40 or a 45. So I hit the police academy. I almost flunked out of the police academy because I couldn't shoot. Because they only give you, once you fail a test, you can do it over. But if you fail the second time on any test, you're done. You're out of the police academy. And we used to get like six or seven different tests a week. It's very nerve-wracking being in the police academy, right? You can fail every test, but you can't do it more than once. If you do anyone more than once, you out. So I called a dude. He was a Richmond cop, and he was a brother from Richmond. And him and another brother was like the best shooters around in the police world. They went and taught all the different SWAT teams. And I drove a Camaro, and he drove a Vet. So I was like, and I used to see him at the East Bay Dragons. You know, I had a Gixxer 750, and he had a Gixxer 1000. So I approached his brother and said, man, I gotta learn how to shoot, or they're gonna bounce me out. He said, don't worry about that. I'm gonna take you to the academy. I'm gonna take you to the shooting range. He took me to the shooting range, and he had a 1911. And I shot that gun, and I shot that gun one time, and he gave me a lot of game. He taught me how to shoot. But the minute I shot that gun that one time, I knew that I was home. It fit my hand perfectly. It was perfectly balanced. It was the perfect gun. Man, I got rid of that USP so quick. Went and bought me I didn't get to see, all right, a little thing about a 1911. 1911s came out around 1903 or something like that, and they started getting mass produced for the public around 1911. That's why they call it 1911. But it's the first 45 ACP there is. Like, you know, there's Glock 2. Other people shoot a 45 ACP, but 1911 is the first. And it's an all steel gun. It's been from World War I all the way, you know, it took us 100-some years. It was a service pistol in the military up until like, I want to say like the 80s or the 90s. And even then, they only lost the contract because of how much they cost. They was able to produce cheaper guns than that. But then they took over in the professional shooting world, competition shooting. So I went there and I shot that gun, and I knew that was home, and I fell in love with the 1911. So if somebody would have asked me what's the top 3 guns, I would say just get a Glock. And if you can afford a 1911, because 1911s, you know, you in this country, you only can have a patent. John Browning was the one who invented the gun and then mass produced them through Colt back in 1911. And they lost the pattern after 20 years. So after 20 years, everybody was able to mass produce a 1911. It's the same way like an AR-15 or AK. There's 1,000 different brands of the same model because you get the bootlegged after 20 years. So if you can't afford a reputable 1911 or something like that, I would kind of stay away from it and just get a Glock. Go cheap, spend your money on your training, because at the end of the day, a Glock, a 1911, a M&P, a H&K, all these different brands of guns gonna come down to shooting damn near the same bullet. And it's about where and how fast you can put the bullet. That's all that matters. The gun is just how it feels in your hand. It's like, just like like basketball. You can put on whatever shoes you want on the court, but what it comes down to is where and how soon can you put that ball in the hole. That's all that it really boils down to. All of the who got the best gun, all that, man, that shit is preference. You know what I mean? And that's nerd talk. And I engage in it because I'm a gun nerd sometimes, just out of fun. But there is no dominant gun. What it comes to is being the dominant shooter. So go cheap on the gun, buy your ammo, and spend money on the training. It's the training that's going to allow you to pick up any gun and be proficient.
Problem. Okay. So for 2 and 3, what will be your second tip for a first-time gun buyer?
I would say it's kind of hard, man, us being in California, because in California we also have something called a handgun roster, which limits you to be able to only purchase maybe 800 different guns. And it's not, and that sounds a lot, but more than half of those is just different color variations. We don't really have a big pool, because now what has happened is the 1911 is old school, meaning that they came in single stack 45, which is another conversation. But the one thing that Glock had the hands down advantage in, it was capacity. So Glocks have bigger magazines. So I would say the best thing that happened was somebody took the 1911 and they took the capacity of a Glock and they combined them. So now a 2011. If you could purchase any gun, a 2011 is just a newer version of a 1911. That's a double stack magazine. So instead of being limited to only carry 8 rounds, you can carry 16 or 17 rounds. You know, the same as would be in a Glock 19, so to speak. But then again, like I said, here we are in California where you're prohibited from owning a firearm that has more than 10 bullets in the magazine, which has been challenged, and they are in the process of losing it. A couple years back in 2019, between March and April, we had a week called Freedom Week where people was able to go out and legally purchase high cap magazines, which are legal and considered legal, and people have been arrested with those magazines, and it's held up that they purchased them during Freedom Week and it was okay. And it's being changed, the law is going to break down. So I would say, but the problem of it is like I said, the handgun roster, a lot of 2011s aren't able to be purchased in this state legally because they're too new and they don't meet the rights of the handgun roster. But keep in mind, the handgun roster is being demolished too. By the summertime, it should be gone if you follow those type of politics. Or you could just purchase one used on the aftermarket, which is silly, right? Like you can't buy it brand new in California, but you can buy it used. Well, you say, well, how did the gun get used in California? Well, an officer bought the gun just to sell the gun. Or bought the gun, decided he didn't like the gun to sell it because the cops are exempt from the handgun roster the same way a cop is exempt from being on a cell phone. That law doesn't apply to him when he's in the car. His policy manual may say that he has to be on it, but the California Vehicle Code says that he can be on the phone. California Vehicle Code also says that he doesn't have to wear a seatbelt, but his policy manual might say it. You get what I'm saying? So I would say because the 2011 combines the best of both worlds of a 1911 and a Glock. So I would say there, but I'll say, man, like I said, just get you a Glock 19. A Glock 19, some people be like, oh, go get if there are other guns, there are M&Ps, man, just get a Glock. Fuck the gun, bro. In basketball, LeBron and Stephen Curry, they got to shoot the same ball. So we know who the best shooter is, right? It's just based on the ball. Like the gun really don't matter. You get something that fits your hand, that's comfortable in your hand, and that's it. Spend the least amount because you can always go back and buy another gun when you're proficient. You know, like I used to go to the track and I used to race cars on the track. I had an older brother who was a stockbroker and he was rich. And he spent a lot of time racing cars on the track, racing Ferraris and stuff like that. And at the time when I hit the track with him, I had a 350Z, Nissan 350Z supercharged. And I was chasing him around the track in the car. And I was like, man, I need a car like the one you got. That's why you so much faster than me. So he was like, man, watch this. He put me in the passenger seat of my Z and he drove the car. I mean, he had me pinned to the seat the whole race. The whole race I was scared. When he got out of the car, he threw the key down the seat and walked away, stunning on me. And I looked at my car and I remember this is the first thought I had about it. I said, bitch, you don't do all that for me. I ain't the driver, he is. Right? So I have people all the time, Ron, was something wrong with my gun. I said, give it to me. And I keep the same pattern, it's small in the paper. I drill it out. And it's like, no, ain't nothing wrong with your gun, something wrong with you. You know what I mean? Spend your time and money in being able to shoot. Because what happens when you got to take that critical shot? What happens if you're trying to shoot the dude who running away with your little girl, with your 2-year-old? Can you nail him or are you going to hit your kid? Are you going to hit somebody else around him? You know, when you go to pick your kid up from school and some nut whip out that AR-15, can you actually drop him? Or are you just going to pop at him, get his attention? Now he's going to maul you down. You know what I mean? So man, spend your money on the training. It's all about training.
Okay. Yeah, that is number 3. Invest in the training.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I can dig that. Yoga practice.
Oh man, that's my first love. At the end of my career, I was left with 3 herniated discs in my back. I was developing a bad back over the years of just wearing all of that stuff, tucking that shirt in a seated position, doing a lot of, I used to get out of my car and walk as much as I could, but you spend so much time in a seated position driving, then you spend a lot of seated time just, in the police car to the side, typing awkward on their little laptop, and then you go inside the building and you got to type some more, and you still got all this stuff around your waist. And people with a small waist are more prone to the back injuries than they are of larger people. So at the end of it, I was left with herniated discs. I had gained a lot of weight. Even right now, as I stand before you, I'm 165 pounds. At the time when they put me off of work, I was like maybe 220, and I was fat. And I spent a lot of that time in the bed gaining weight, and my muscles had shrunk. So I wasn't even, by the time I ended up peeling all that fat off, I went down to 135 pounds because I had muscle atrophy. When your muscles just shrink like somebody sitting in a wheelchair, after a while, your legs gonna shrink because you don't use it, you lose it. So and I was being prescribed by the hospital. I was being prescribed a lot of strong medication, a lot of painkillers, and then not to mention just dealing with all of the stuff, the trauma of growing up in West Oakland, South Richmond, East Oakland, and then becoming a cop and seeing all that black death. I had absorbed so much death and stuff, and then, drinking habit, because drinking is police culture, right? It's culture. And I had ended up in pretty bad shape. And then my job told me, they was like, you only got a year to try to, to recover, or you're gonna get forced into retirement. Nothing personal against me, that's just what it is. When you get deemed, because you a physical liability at some point. They're like, we're not finna, if you can't recover and do a fitness for duty test within a year, you totally disabled and we gonna cut you. Because it's cheaper to get a new cop than it is to hold on to an older cop who's already making the highest pay and stuff like that. It's like, man, cut the old dude out, let him go, get a young, fresh officer, and keep going. So I went to a natural doctor outside of my coverage, and it was a brother, and I'm gonna name drop him because it's nothing but positive, man. Dr. Michael Hebar. Michael Hebar was, he's a brother. He got his own practice over on 300 Grand right across the street from the lake. He's a pain specialist, because if I try to say physiatrist or something like that, I'm gonna probably confuse it, but he's a physiatrist, a pain specialist. So when I went to go see him, man, he just looked at me and he was straight. He's like, man, where are you from? I said, man, I'm from West Oakland. He said, oh man, me too. We started talking, and he said, man, I went to Merritt College when the Children's Hospital used to be Merritt College. He's like, man, I was in Merritt College with Bobby Seals and Huey P. Newton, and he was showing me these pictures and stuff, and he was just bonding with me, right? So then after that, he said, look, man, you a dope fiend. You know what I mean? He said, you fat and you a dope fiend. They didn't give you all these prescription pills. You didn't took all these prescription pills. Now you fat, out of shape, and we can fix you, but it's gonna take some time. We're gonna put you through rehab. And in a pain restoration program, we introduce you to yoga, Tai Chi, acupuncture, massage, deep tissue massages, shock therapy, where they used to put these things on you to try to shock you, try to rewire your nerves. A bunch of different things. He said, but we're gonna get you off of dope. And he said, the first thing we're gonna do is clean your diet up. So for the, they would provide food for me, so I wasn't eating like fried food. I was eating real clean. You know what I mean? Like the only meat I was eating was either grilled or. When she took me to yoga the first time, he had an in-house yoga instructor, was a female, and the minute I did yoga, and she got me able to release my muscles, and my muscles relaxed, and I stretched. And I was a lifelong athlete, but that was the first time I said, I knew that I could become flexible. I knew that yoga would fix me right there, but I knew I had a lot of work to go. So I did it with her as much as I could, but then I was also sneaking and going to yoga to the people because I felt like they babied me too much. And I'm like, no, I'm already injured. I know I got injured from wearing all of this stuff, and I'm not going to get more injured doing yoga. So I was going and doing. I just fell in love with yoga, and I stopped drinking. Like I got a new habit. I was off of the prescription pills. When I was in high school, I used to win the strongest man contest every year. We used to have arm wrestle, and bench press. I always knew I was a strong person, and I ran track and I was fast. And I thought that you had to be predisposed through your genetics to certain physical attributes. flexibility being one of them. I'm like, I'm not a flexible person. That's not in me. That's not who I am. I'm a strong and fast person, and I accepted that and went on. So I never, in track and stuff like that, I never took the stretching serious. I'm like, it just hurts and is uncomfortable, right? But when I started doing it, I'm like, no, I can become flexible. All of the things that I wanted to do with my body can happen now. Even though I'm an older person, you know what I mean? I'm like, I know that I could accomplish things. So I started doing yoga, and I started finding peace. You know what I mean? Doing yoga and knowing that I could change my body. And I was so happy to be able to alleviate pain without using an outside substance. Like, I don't need to go get someone's pill or someone's anything. I can alleviate my pain to a degree, not completely, not yet, but I can alleviate my pain by getting up, stretching, having a healthy diet, you know, keeping movement. So then I just really fell in love with yoga, and then it influenced me to become a teacher. I went and put myself through yoga instructor school. I kind of did it for selfish reasons a little bit, because I was like, yo, this would take me deeper into my yoga practice. I'm like, because I used to, try to do skateboard, and I wanted to surf. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do that I felt like I didn't have the flexibility to do, because I was like a short, stocky dude. Like almost my whole career as a cop, even when I was in shape, I was 185 pounds to 190 pounds, from just the weightlifting. And so when I did that, I was just like, man, and I just fell in love with it. And I seen that our people needed it, just as a people, as a means to de-stress. Dr. Hebard taught me, he said, you think at the rate of your breathing. And when he said that, and I was just like, huh? He said, think about it right now, young blood. If I jump behind this door and scare the shit out of you, your heart rate is going to be rapid, but your thoughts are going to be rapid just like that. When your heart rate speed up, then your thoughts speed up. The same way right now, if me and you both go take off in a dead sprint, run around this block and come back, and then we pull open a book and try to read that book, it's going to be much harder to comprehend with our heart racing, because our thoughts is racing. But when you go sit yourself down in a coffee house, throw on some of that jazz music, and you relax, you're able to read, and you can read faster, and you can comprehend more. You can get through it more with being calm. So that's why I was like, yo, a lot of us are walking around in these neighborhoods in flight or fight syndrome, worried, stressed, and it's making you think like an animal. It's keeping your thought levels low. And even just like when we think about hip hop, right? If I'm gonna put on some hip hop about killing somebody, man, bring on that 808, bring on that boom, 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 boom. But when somebody wanna make you think, the Nas's, the Rakims, they gonna bring that jazz. They gonna bring out them horns and stuff. It's different. Yeah, not saying one is wrong, because there's a time to go to war, but it ain't every day. Man, keep that energy in the gym. It's your ability to think, and that's what yoga was giving me more than anything, is a breathing exercise. And we all need those breathing exercises, and that's why I was able to help get a few people off of stop smoking cigarettes. Because what I was able to peep is, you're just looking for a moment to concentrate on your breathing, and that cigarette is a soundtrack to your breathing. But if you can also just breathe without that. You can also just sit there and be mindful and see what it means to slow your heart rate down and feel your muscles and joints stop contracting and stop lifting. Then you can get to the point to where you can relax and you can stretch your muscles, then stretch your joints and ligaments. Then flexibility happens. But all while I'm going on this journey, I'm being a more calm, stable person. The way I'm thinking is better. I'm thinking at a much higher level than I am if I'm just in flight or fight. You know what I mean? Like those 808 drums is for fighting and fucking. Like nothing really else, right? Like that's what it comes down to. Even like the way that a person is going to dance to an 808, it's going to be some booty shake. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It's a time and place for everything, but it just shouldn't be the dominant. You know what I mean? Fight or flight shouldn't be the dominant. Because ultimately, when you talk about building a society in our community, it's your ability to think, your ability to create, your ability to build. It matters so much more than their fight or fight. Because if we was really fight or fight every day, nobody would be here on this motherfucker. We all be dead. You get what I'm saying? So that's what made me really fall in love with yoga. And then, like I said, the flexibility. When I snuck and went to that yoga studio for the first time, there was a black woman in there, 80 years old, and she was standing on her hands. Wow. And me and my homeboy, I've always been able to do flips and walk on my hands and stuff like that. But I was in there, and I knew at that point where I was at physically, I couldn't even attempt to try to stand on my hands. But I'm like, yo, me and my homie, we used to walk in basketball. When he played basketball, I used to come out, we used to see who could walk from one end to the court and back on their hands. You get what I'm saying? And we used to do that every day in PE in high school. And I'm like, man, I'm so far away from that at the time, 33 years old, and here this woman is 80 years old, and she's standing on her hands with her eyes closed, chilling, meditating. I still to this day, I've been in my yoga practice deep since 2015, and I still can't stand on my hands with my eyes closed. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I was just like, damn, I just thought that was so remarkable, you know? And then to know the history of yoga, when I started studying, like, man, this go back to ancient Kemet. As long as we've been writing stuff down, we've had a physical practice of yoga. Before some of the, you know, and a lot of people get upset, before we wrote down Christianity, we documented yoga. We documented yoga. It's on the walls. It's on the walls, brother, you know? It's on the walls, brother. And then people will say, oh, Egypt wasn't the greatest civilization. That's just the last one to not be destroyed in our lifetime. It was in Kush before that. I say, okay, yeah. And it probably was on their walls too. But the oldest document we got is those walls. And you on that wall, brothers on there, darker pigment than me, doing yoga. It's yours. It's yours. And we taught it to the Indians. Africans taught it to the Indians. The Indians ended up teaching it to the Western world, trying to come over here, teaching it to white people, and it changed. It's the same way our parents grew up with Muddy Waters and Chuck Berry and Little Richard. So they know what real rock and roll is. But if you came up in the 80s like I did watching MTV, you like, man, that shit is lame.
Headbangers Ball.
Yeah, I don't want nothing, man, get that out of here. I don't want nothing to do with that. So it's the same thing, like yoga has been gone so long from our community, it don't look right. People say, oh man, that's for white folks. Come on, man. Come on, man. Anything that's worth doing, your people already did it, and they did it before, and they did it better, man. Stop playing. Let's stop talking each other down with that low level thought. The first surfing tournaments was held by us. Like, man, stop playing. You know what I mean? Like, stop playing. You know what I mean? So, absolutely, I was, you know, if any type of digital footprint I want to leave, I'm willing to leave, is that of yoga. Because so many of us ain't ready for no guns. Man, we ain't ready for all it, man. And then I'm going to tell you this, though. Even if you are, yoga made me a way better shooter. When the time I went, during my retirement process, I probably went 3 or 4 years without shooting a gun. So when I finally went back to the range, I was scared to shoot. I'm like, man, I know I'm not, because it's a perishable skill. The same way, like, if you stop riding your skateboard, you ain't gonna be able to ride your skateboard. You see what happened to these NBA dudes. If they miss a couple games, they come back, their shot is off. Just in a couple, they off. They not hot like they was. So I was like, man, I was scared to be able to shoot, but because of yoga, the practicing stillness, practicing smooth breathing, and it improved the stigmatism in my right eye from doing all the inversions. A lot of people, like, if you have astigmatism in your eyes, a lot of that people don't really know is it's a lack of blood flow to lack of circulation. So just by me doing an inversion is any yoga pose where your heart is above your head. Doing all of those inversions and standing on my hand increased the blood flow to my head. Well, when it increased the blood flow to my head, it improved my eyesight. You get what I'm saying? As a byproduct of that. So when I went back as a better shooter after taking 3 years off than I was when I left the shit. So that's when I really felt like, man, yoga is what I need to be doing. You know what I mean?
Powerful.
Man.
So, I mean, if somebody would like to contact you for a session or anything, how can they do that?
Man, I'm one of the hardest people to catch sometimes, because I took a lot of time away from my son, my daughter, and my wife, living inside my own head, having a fucked up career. And so now I prioritize my family and my kids, especially my kids, because my wife is strong, is solid. You know, my wife gonna do what she's supposed to do. She's raised by some good women. She's raised good mother and aunts and stuff. She gonna do what she's supposed to do. You know, but I really try to make sure I got that connection with my kids, because, you know, my son had certain type of challenges as a man, and my daughter has different challenges as a black female growing up with this social media and stuff. but I am looking to get back into it. It was so much easier for me to just go teach at Yoga to the People and Yoga Tree and these other yoga studios because it was already there, and I wasn't looking to run my own business. I was just looking to teach. But now after the COVID-19, I don't know what yoga studio I really have to put the effort and energy into developing my my own brand. So right now it's coming. I just reset up my yoga, and I have to get my yoga chops back together because I say this too, yogas are the first MCs, period. Because think about it, if you were in a yoga session for an hour, even back in ancient Kemet, they used to do it for way longer than an hour. They would do a day. We had way more discipline than we got now. MCing, for that hour or that 90 minutes I'm teaching that class, my words, somebody is allowing me to use my words to control their movement, their breathing. And if you allow me to control your breathing, you allow me to control your thinking. That's one of the things I take very serious, and you have to talk for a whole hour straight. So I'm writing new material, different flows, because like I said, I started out teaching that Yoga to the People, a beginner class, but what I thought was beginner for them wasn't beginner for our people. So I was spanking people a lot, you know, keeping them in the poses and stuff too long and stuff like that, so I had to tweak it. So right now I'm writing an easier flow, call it a flow pattern, you know, and just on my Instagram. What's my Instagram?
Like the
Ronald?
The real Ronald now?
The real Ronald, yeah, the real Ronald.
So that's where you can find them.
Yeah, that's where you can find. Long story short, everything is a long drawn out story with me. But what I'm saying is, I have a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna fill that up. I'm gonna push a hard line teaching the yoga more than anything. That's what our people.
Without talking about some hip hop.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, sir, I know you a Bay guy.
Yeah. A biased Bay guy. Let's just, if you can't root for the home team, but they say if they don't win, it's a shame, right? Let's root for the home team.
Let me get your top 10. Who is in your top 10?
Man, my top 10.
Yes.
Oh man, any given day, like it can change a little bit, but I want to say right off the rip, the way I base who's my favorite MC is who has made the most music that I like the most. So I'll say right off the bat, Tupac would be number one, hands down. Man, I want to flow through it, man. I want to just say after that, I just want to say all Bay Area people, man. I do though. I'm just keeping it real, you know, because these people wrote the soundtrack to my life. You know what I mean? To how I came up. I would say second is Too Short. You know, early on, man, I remember songs like Life is Too Short and Girl, That's Your Life, Don't Do It, Girl, Smoking That Glass Pipe. You know, he made, and when you were around a bunch of drug addicts, that was the only anti-don't do drugs song there was. So that song, and then just all of the different, and he carried the culture. I think Too Short was the one who was the first MC that made production important. Like hands down, he had the best. You know, you go back in the 80s, nobody production could touch his until Dre, until NWA, right? Too Short, E40. Richie Rich.
Okay.
Same thing with Rich. I remember hearing Richie Rich for the first time in junior high. And you know, in junior high, when you first start trying to talk to females and stuff, when you first started trying to develop I just remember, I'm like, man, this dude, he sounded like the coolest dude ever. You get what I'm saying? He got the voice, you know what I mean? He sounded like the coolest dude ever. And I just remember, like, I remember trying to sound like him. You get what I'm saying? Trying to, you know, at 11 years old, you know? And he had the first Sideshow song that, you know, and again, it was culture. And then when I looked at his CD, everybody had on the all black with the red, black and green on the, you know, on that 415 album. So that give me to what, 4 Pac? Okay. Man, I don't want to get this in the wrong order. I don't want to mix this up. I want to say Mac Mall.
Okay. 5.
Mac Mall first CDs. I mean, I'll go as far as saying this. Mac Mall, hands down, and I'll argue this with anybody, hands down is the greatest teenage rapper there's ever been. If you compare his albums that he dropped at 17 and 18 compared to somebody else's, it's no competition. Maybe Webby. Webby had a hell of a first CD at 17 too, though. A lot of people don't realize that Webby was 17.
Know that.
Yeah, 17, and he was going, you know? So him, Drew Down.
Okay. 6.
And Drew Down would be higher up, but Drew Down didn't make it, he didn't have enough content.
Yo, Young Mouth.
Yuck Mouth would be there.
Okay.
Yuck Mouth is gonna be there.
Okay.
But I gotta jump outside of the Bay Area
There we go.
and go to Eazy-E.
There we go.
Man, listen.
Woke up quick. At about.
Classic. To me, my opinion, although Tupac is my favorite of all time, but if you say the greatest song in hip hop, Boys in the Hood. I'm sorry, Boys in the Hood, word for word, the beat, I mean, that beat has so much texture and like it just, and he made all that shit sound good. It all blended, you know, greatest song ever. And again, Eazy-E was just, I was just like, you know, and Eazy, I was a little kid, I'm like, man, this nigga is so cool.
Raw.
You know what I mean? He just like was so cool, you know? And all of the, you know, those songs was classic, you know? And Eazy-E gave birth to the eyebrow raising lines. Like, everybody came cool on, and I don't care who wrote what, I don't want to get into that shit. But, fuck the police. When he said, take off the, the badge and gun, what do you got? A sucker in a uniform waiting to get shot by me or another nigga. And with the gat, it don't matter if he's smaller or bigger. I mean, I'm like, as a kid, like now when I look back at it, I'm like, yo, I can't believe he said that at that time. He made it popular, but to lay it out that play, I'm like, man, you know? So the shock value of it. And then he gave birth to the voices in hip hop. After years, you know, we got to know like Exhibit, Unfair Advantage, got a raw voice, Jadakiss, you know, Chuck D. But to me, Eazy-E gave birth to the voices. Just his voice cut through everything. And that matters too, because like I tell you, I don't give a fuck what you say at the end of the day, if it's still music. This ain't spoken word. I still got a bop to it. It's still music. We still calling it that, right? So the way it sounds sonically matters.
All that matters.
You know, Eazy-E.
We got 8 now.
Messy Marv.
Woo, man.
I know Messy Marv that fell on hard times. I know the brother is strung out, but the thing is, if you was able to like him back when he had songs Sitting on Candy, Playing with My Nose, all of that, we knew where this train was going to end. Let's not play dumb, right? If people are talking about snorting cocaine, we know where this ends. But what I would say with him is, I'll say he had the most quality albums of maybe anybody in the Bay Area. Maybe anybody, period.
I can't agree, period.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, man, like, for example, Snoop got 20 albums, maybe 3 of them are good. And I love Snoop. I just keep it.
5.
No, not 5. You're probably lying.
No. I go. Doggy Style, No Limit Top Dog, The Last Meal, The Blue Carpet Treatment, Press Play, And I had to end with the documentary. That was his last good album. That documentary was hard.
Is that the white CD? With L.A.
Yeah. That shit was hard.
Okay, yeah.
I like Malice though too.
Yeah.
I got more.
I like Malice for the 2-minute warning.
That shit hard.
Cause it's like, oh man, fool, we know you can rap, right?
He didn't write that.
Yeah.
Problem back.
He didn't write 7 songs on the first album, so that's why I'm like, why is everybody always pointing at about Man Easy? Stop that.
Yeah.
But now that it didn't came out that, you know, that the first greatest of all time was LL Cool J. Yeah. But now they say 50 Cent wrote some of his raps. Yeah, that's out. Wrote, so you want to say if somebody write for you, you can't be the GOAT.
Well, he wrote Paradise.
It don't matter. It don't.
I agree. Like, if somebody comes with a song that's already done, I'll take that. And you rap the song. It's like R&B. But if a nigga writes your verse, like, I need you to write my verse.
I got it, man. With that, we didn't heard your favorite rappers say, Styles P, Jadakiss, the people who are regarded amongst the lyricists say, if somebody else write for you, you don't count.
But Jada, you can tell on Jada got. You can tell Styles wrote for Jada on that the blood pressure track. You can tell.
I mean, are these dudes in there writing lyrics together? They're a group. Is what this cat said influencing the next cat? Did this dude come up with the hook that dictated what you were going to say in your verse? Yeah, probably. I give him that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is with and I'm not trying to take nothing away from LL Cool J because, all right, let's throw LL Cool J up in there. Put him at 9 because of what LL Cool J represented it to me as a kid, as a little kid. I'm like, yo, this is a black man. He's successful. He's young. He got the muscles, the girls, he's respected by men, the girls like him. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was the overall, his persona attracted me to his music when I was a kid. And then 10, who would I put at 10?
Here we go.
Some of the other people are incredible, but I want to say there wasn't enough content. Even just like when I go back and think about in high school when Yuck Mouth, put Yuck Mouth in there, man, because the Looney shit was classic, both CDs, and then when he came with that Thugged Out Ovulation, the double CD, that shit was on point. $1 Million Mouthpiece is one of my more recent ones. The one he came with a Veal Story, he just had 2 CDs come out, and there's like 2 versions, but it's the first one. He had that remix to the 6 in the Morning Police Had My Dough on there, all of that. So, but then those are my favorites. People who I've liked the most of their music is over time. But then if you ask me who's the greatest MCs, the greatest, the best at it, I go with Tupac again. He's at number 1. KRS-One. KRS-One is incredible. KRS-One is incredible, but the only difference is the why he didn't make the other list is because this is the Bay Area, and I know what he is on stage, but I primarily digest the music in the car. You get what I'm saying? But KRS-One, Chuck D, Rakim, Mos Def.
Okay.
You know, if I told you about Mos Def didn't make that much content, but Mos Def is just simply incredible, man. I saw him and Erykah Badu at the Fox some years ago, and they coming back, and I didn't even buy tickets. But Mos Def, let me see where I'm at. Pac, KRS-One, Chuck D, Rakim, Mos Def, Nas.
That's right.
Man, Nas is incredible. You can't really say enough good about Nas. Jay-Z. Okay. Hov is the motherfucking man, bro. People can hate on it. They don't like the politics of what he did to the NFL game. And Jay-Z, man, listen. The GOAT, Reasonable Doubt, A Hard Life 2.
Yeah,
Volume 2. The Blueprint, the Black Album, American Gangster. I mean,
I don't
those
know
are.
why people like American Gangster so much.
American Gangster was what gave Jay-Z his soul. I've always heard Jay-Z, but when he come on that, when we leave, go back and listen to that American Dream, and that's the first time I felt what he said. I felt it. Tupac and Chuck D, because of their voice, they got you right off the rip. It's like, listen to me, right off the rip. Jay-Z don't have that voice like Exhibit, like Jadakiss. You get what I'm saying? Or even Nas. He got to work harder for it. He got to draw you in. He got to, you know, man.
I think he has it, but like my gripe with Jay.
Nah, not like Scarface. Gotta throw Scarface in there.
Okay.
Scarface, the man.
He's got the voice.
Got the voice. Got the voice, man. Got it, right? $1 million voice.
Come on, track you. Same with Beans.
Yeah.
Benny Siegel got it.
Benny Siegel got a good voice too. But I go Black Thought.
Okay, he's a beast.
Black Thought, and I was a fan of the Roots shit early on.
No Wu-Tang?
All that shit sucked.
Oh,
Other than Cream,
what?
listen,
Man, look.
I take it back. Raekwon get busy. Ghostface is irritating as fuck.
Wow,
Voice is terrible.
wildin', homie.
And it's just,
A beast. That boy, Ghostface smoked mics.
yeah, yeah,
Nigga will rap his ass off.
yeah,
Oh, come on, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, we gotta disagree. We gotta ask up. Now, I'm not. What I'm saying is, and of course, this is sound superficial and cliche. Best Ghostface song with Mary J. Blige. All that I got is you. Plucking roaches out the cereal box. And da-da-da. I listen. I'll take it back what I said about Ghostface. Send me some of his shit and I'll reconsider because I know that he's good. I'm just saying from what I've heard, I haven't liked a lot of the stuff that I've heard so much because I'm into the music. It gotta flow right. It gotta, man, throw on Too Short. But throw on, but I want just throw on get in where you fit in. I throw on where it come on, ba-boom, ba-boom. Those bass lines is like you in. See, Too Short didn't go cheap. He went and got somebody that could play the bass, somebody that could play the drums. Like, so he got the music. They don't never give him, oh, and how did I leave DJ Quick out? Yeah. DJ Quick belonged in the first list. Because he got the volume, he can rap his ass off, he can produce his ass off, perform his ass off. DJ Quick is really the one-man band, like he call himself. He's the one-man band. The man. Greatest hip-hop producer, my opinion, all time. The man.
What I love about Quick is that he always, it's same with Gangstar. Every album, they updated their formula. None of his albums sound the same.
Yeah.
None of them.
Yeah.
From Born and Raised in Compton, I mean, whatever the first one is called, something in Compton. Let's Get Way Too Funky, don't sound alike.
Yeah.
When Safe Sound's my shit.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funky, fruity, drums, sweet, and he gang banging like a motherfucker.
Hey, people didn't like rhythmalism, but rhythmalism is my shit.
You can tell there was some live instruments.
Yeah, incredible.
There was some live instruments.
And even like the song that he produced on there where he's not even on it that he did for El DeBarge.
Yeah,
incredible production. Like, man, that dude should have produced a lot more R&B.
We ain't getting no radio play.
They might get some pussy for this. All right. Him and Snoop and them was clowning. They was clowning on that fun hip hop song. Fun hip hop song. It's bullshit, misogyny, and all that. Yeah. The shit sound good.
Let a nigga from the east side, LVDP.
Beat that pussy till it's soft and mushy. I love that bushy. And unless it smell like mildew. Man, you know I know that shit, you know.
Yeah, they just clowning. Same with I think Lil Jon did it, but I think Quick helped when they remade Bitches Ain't Shit on Crunk Juice.
Oh yeah, incredible. With Sugar Free. Oh, Sugar Free.
Gushy.
You got it. Sugar Free top 10 on both lists.
Yeah, beast.
Sugar Free is I mean that last one, that Street Gospel, Street Gospel is the first one. Street.
This one was just, I think his last one was just Add a Little Water. But him and Cocaine just released a joint project last week.
I didn't know. I got to check that one out. But Man,
Street gospel, the New Testament. Is that the one you talking about?
I gotta bring it up right here. I gotta get it right, man. That album is incredible, man.
When he's standing on the street corner.
It ain't no It's let me go to my library. Bam. 2019. Damn, this is the Resurrection. Incredible.
I heard a little bit of it.
Incredible.
Really? Okay, I gotta check that out.
He got back with DJ Quicken in production. DJ Quicken, some other cat out of Sac produced the whole album. Incredible. You know, I mean, I think that's it. But you know, man, there's so many cats that I'm probably forgetting right now. There's a lot of up and coming people. I like La Russell a lot. I like the narrative that he's pushing, because I like when a cat is from the hood, but they got something. Even like with Nipsey, we know Nipsey was a Crip and all this other stuff, but Nipsey to me really pushed black business. He made cats think about the business side of things more so than trying to be hard. You know what I mean? And that sort of shit. I didn't pick him up. Waver. I didn't pick him up until the first marathon.
2010.
Yeah, the marathon. The Bullets. Yeah, I wasn't on to that one.
I said I was now. He was making theme music like.
Yeah, he was making the music to slide to. Yeah.
I seen him in 08. That's when I first heard of him, and I seen the I think it's the Hustle in the House video, and I'm like, yo, they out there on Slauson and Headshot. Most people, we didn't know that was going on. Like, they was making noise like that, because that's Battle Cat, Corrupt, that's all they hood.
Yeah.
But when he popped up on Slauson, and they was in the videos, I was like, oh, he coming.
Yeah.
He coming. So I've been a fan since back then. I wish I tuned out with Mailbox Money because I was waiting on him to drop his album. And that's one thing with new West Coast people, and that's funny, I've seen an interview with Bishop Lamont who addressed this, that a lot of them couldn't put albums out back then, like that after Game, really before Game, after Game, coming into like Nipsey came up. Nobody was really dropping them.
Yeah, I used to check for. I got Bishop Lamont mixtape, the one he did with Dr. Dre.
He's a beast.
And he's another person who fell through the cracks.
And
you know.
The sad part is, after watching this interview the other day, it made sense. I think, because I used to be an Aftermath Shady Head. I think Game really fucked all that up, because he was on the calendar to come out.
Yeah.
Same with D12, OB's supposed to come out, but nobody came out.
Yeah.
Vic G and them still dropping, but he was an Aftermath artist.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he was burning through his budget and his creativity writing for Detox. But they wouldn't green light his shit. And he said it. He said, I had to put my album out as a mixtape.
Yeah.
And I said to say, because I was running around the music business then, and my uncle, he was rapping, and I was telling him, y'all gotta stop putting out mixtapes, because that's why nobody can sell records now. We had desensitized the black community to buy music.
Yeah.
Why buy? I get it free.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go download it.
Yeah.
So how we gonna make money?
They started making a lot of cheap music.
That too.
And it sound cheap. It sound like instant oatmeal. So you gotta, why make it? You know, like I said, I don't care what nobody say about Too Short. Oh, man, listen, when it's all said and done, listen to all them live instruments. That shit take time. And it take multiple men to do that. That's why you can't never fuck with the Motown sound. Because you got 5 people singing and another 5 or 6 playing instruments.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man, you got that many able-bodied, creative brothers in the room making one song at a time. A one-man band got a lot to compete against. You get what I'm saying? It's just so, you know, that sort of deal. You know what I mean? But I like Lil Russell. I even push something other than the genocidal music. You know, speaking of genocidal music, somebody got to go off the list. I got to put my boy Spice One on there.
Oh,
Spice, Spiggity Spice. You know what I mean? Because, you know, Face of a Desperate Man, and, you know, Welcome to the Ghetto. Like, I mean, he was like, that dude was like, him, Pac, and Scarface to me used to be like the hip hop journalists. It's like they used to sound like they live and direct and telling you what's going on. Early on, not promoting it. But just, you know, when you listen to Welcome to the Ghetto, like that is not promoting it. You get what I'm saying? In the same way with, that's what I missed it being regional and having regional production, because it's cool to hear how, you know, Scarface sound over a West Coast beat, but I want to feel of Texas.
Right.
It's like Juvenile. Juvenile's incredible, and their first CD to me, 400 Degrees, incredible, and it has a New Orleans sound. New Orleans producer. It's like, yo, we did this and this represent us. And that's what I miss from hip hop. Everybody like, oh, who's hot? Him. Let's go to this production. You know what I mean? Like, no, man, stick to your guns.
Exactly. No, that's why, like Bubba Sparks' second album, it didn't do much, but to me it's a classic because.
You like white hip hop?
Yeah. I still like music.
Yeah.
All that. But he didn't try to be Eminem. He was himself. So like even with Timberland, he took bluegrass, country, even like folk music, and flipped it with 808s.
Yeah.
That shit fire.
Yeah.
And he rapping about the South. He rapping about cheating on his wife. He rapping about sipping bourbon on the field. He rapping about.
He gave you the experience.
So I'm like, that's the type of shit I like. He with Eminem, you know, like.
Man, them first two Eminem CDs, man, I remember my little cousin who just passed, man, rest in peace. Because he used to stay in Virginia, he was the first one that bought the 50 Cent mixtapes, the DMX mixtapes before he was with Def Jam and stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like, he bought those things. He bought me Eminem, DMX, and 50 Cent early on. And I remember the same thing with Eminem. It was just like, Eminem was saying, before Eminem, there was Gangsta Nip. A lot of people don't know about Gangsta Nip. Gangsta Nip is from Texas too. And a lot of the crazy shit that Eminem was saying, Gangsta Nip was saying a lot of that crazy shit first, but it just wasn't acceptable as a black man. But when you hear Eminem do it, it's like, yo, is this right? Is this it? What is this? Like, you don't know to tell him that he can't be saying it.
Right.
Because, you know, before, sometime, I'm not going to make it seem like everything got to be serious or pro-black or like that. That's a lot of times the burden that a black man have. Like, what if Kendrick Lamar got some fun music in him? What if he got some fun music in him, but he's expected to step to the mic every time and say something meaningful? But that's not who your whole life is. You get what I mean? Like, this man still got a party too. This man still does party. He still got kids. He got a different perspective. And that's why some of my favorite MCs, I think Nas and Tupac have done that the best, have been able to talk about different subjects and do them all very well.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Very well. Like, you know, shit, Tupac could turn you into a Black Panther, or he can help you get some pussy. You get what I'm saying? And like, and all points in between. You know, he could, you know what I mean? It's the same thing like with Nas. So, you know, those are some of the things, man. But I love hip hop. As much as sometimes it pissed me off, I still love the music. And I wish right now that, I wish there was another Lauryn Hill or something. I feel like who?
Scar Lip.
Who is that?
You ain't seen her yet?
The one rapping into the hot dog?
Yeah. What I look like telling a nigga good morning?
We need another Lauryn Hill. They need a leader. Female hip hop is a leaderless group.
You mess with Rhapsody?
I listen to a lot of Rhapsody stuff to me, and Rhapsody is a good rapper, terrible musician. Trying to rap in that deep voice like Biggie, I can't get down with it. That's the way Biggie naturally sounds. That's who he is. But I understand that women that want to be taken serious from a certain era rap in a deep tone of voice. Even Meg Thee Stallion do it. When you hear her talk, it's squeaky. But you get what I'm saying. When you hear, even Cardi B, when you hear these women talk, they got a little squeaky voice, but then they rapping in the deep voice. You hear a man talk, he talk in a deep voice, but then he rap with a lisp or at a high, you know, it's the Lil Wayne effect. You know what I mean? Like, and Lil Wayne is an incredible rapper, but Lil Wayne to me gave birth to the bitch ass MC. Sounding like a female, rapping with a lisp, rapping off the tip of your tongue. And even like somebody like Drake gave birth to the bitch sounding MC. Again, I don't dislike Drake. Drake is a good rapper, but these dudes were too big and their sound sonically was copied. Don't try to make your voice sound like these. These are what these dudes naturally sound like. So when you try to shrink your voice as a man, I have something against that. You know what I'm saying? It's a form of emasculation. And I know that from working in the police department, because I remember when we get in mixed company, as black men, we gotta, first of all, we're gonna put the N-word on the shelf. That go away. We're not using that in mixed company. So okay, let's put that mixed word, let's put that N-word on the shelf. But then we can flex our intelligence. Maybe we'll use big words or something. Maybe something as cliche as that. But what used to trip me out was when these black men would make their voice high pitched. And I'm like, yo, when you were a young man, when you were in junior high school and you waiting for your balls to drop to get that deep voice, to get some hair on your chin, you looking forward to becoming the man your father was or so-and-so was. But then when another race of men come by, you feel such a strong racial inferiority. Now you feel a sexual inferiority. You got to make him feel like he's the more masculine than you. And you get this high-pitched voice like, man, you don't talk like that. So the same thing in hip-hop. I feel like that's what hip-hop is going through, an identity crisis where you got the females rapping with a deep tone of voice and you got the dudes rapping like with lisp and weird shit.
Yeah, and that's what they say on that podcast this morning too. Like, they're talking about it. I don't want no hard, like, who wants a hard female rapper?
Yeah.
That's not even feminine. Like,
yeah. We already have, like, the thing is this. The black female has a unique identity in this country. Scratch that. I told somebody this before. I said female hip hop suck. And the reason of it is because the black female, the American black female experience, however you want to is told in R&B, but it does not exist in hip hop. The story of the black female exists in hip hop only as egotistic personification of something. Oh, I'm the baddest bitch, or I'm this and that. But then where you have the female R&B artists like Mary J. Blige, who can give you the full spectrum or experience as a black female. So the black female experience exists in song, not in bars. And it kind of, Lauryn Hill kind of trying to broke through with it. MC Lyte fucked it up just trying to rap with a deep voice in the beginning because you're trying to compete with men. The minute you put that deep voice on, don't compete with men. Do it like Ladybug did it from, what's my group name? I got a couple of their albums too. Digable Planets, Ladybug. She didn't go for the deep tone of voice. She rapped and it was very feminine, lyrical as hell, slick as hell, but very feminine at the same time. So I'd rather hear about her experience and I can hear about it leisurely as opposed to somebody trying to be a man. I don't want to hear that. In the same way I don't want to entertain a dude trying to be a female. I want Young Thug. I want the female perspective from a female. You know what I mean? And the male perspective from a male. So, you know, that's the thing. And I know Rhapsody's a good MC, but sonically, I can't get with it. I don't like the production. I don't like where her voice sounds. Okay. But she's incredible, though. Incredible MC. You know, and I wish her sound was dominant. Female hip hop would be in good hands if she was the queen of it. But it's just the voice doesn't always go over well with the trying to, and like, you don't sound like that. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Stop that. That's why, and if you peep, the best performers in hip hop are the ones that rap in a natural voice, where there's no stretch. It's easy for Jay-Z to get up there and spit it, because he's just spitting it to you in his natural tone. Nas rapped the way he talked. Pac rapped the way he talked. Chuck D, Scarface, these dudes just sound that way. And if you don't have a voice to stand out and be lyrical or something, make the beat do it, but, you know.
Some gotta cut.
Some gotta cut.
All right, that's what it is. Lastly, I'm just doing a quick. We definitely gonna come back because I got.
Oh yeah, man, we got to mow.
We gonna address our air lights. You know?
Oh what?
The black man. But, a quick thing. So I'm gonna say one word and you just give a sentence or a word that describes or whatever that pops in your mind. All right.
All right.
Okay. Garvey.
Man. Man, I don't want to speak, but I want to say maybe the strongest movement ever. You know, Black Panthers had a great movement, but it was still off of that. It was still about, you know what I mean? It was, you know what I mean? It's still, Garvey still came before it. I mean, if we would have listened to Garvey just in the business sense of controlling transportation, he was talking about controlling boats and trains before the mob started controlling trucks and made the Teamsters. You know, I mean, come on, man. We as a people, think of where we would be right now if we controlled the trucking industry. And he was saying this then. One word to describe Garvey: superhuman genius. You know what I mean? God-like brain. You know?
Malcolm.
Shit, my dog. But I got Malcolm X tatted on my arm. I would say this. Malcolm X was the first, you know, it was sold to us in baby black consciousness, Malcolm versus Martin effect. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go check out what Malcolm had. He's talking about by any means necessary. Just the cliche statements made me feel a certain way. But then when I got older, I was like, when I started really listening to some of the older speeches, some of the stuff that they don't say about Martin, it's like Martin was G'd up too. I mean, more so than, right? So, and I hate to like pit them against each other, but I just say, black consciousness or something like that, you know. I mean, and I that's on the surface. I know when we start going, we know he's multi, and you know.
I ain't say nothing.
I know you ain't say that, but the thing about it is
we appreciate the work he's done, though.
I definitely appreciate the work he's done, and I'm telling me and you should be able to talk about it if Eddie Murphy and the other white cat can put it in the movie as a joke. You remember that they came in and they had that white dude, Jonah Hill, Malcolm X isn't black, or however he said it. It's like, you don't get to say that. Eddie Murphy was supposed to cut, pow, slap him. You don't get to put someone in or out of our culture. Stop it.
And that's the thing, like,
The sing along to get along.
yeah, because I don't know, black folks try to take my head off over that. I was laughing at my friend this morning. He said he almost got in a fight at work because, you know, black folks love basketball. He told somebody Curry wasn't black.
Yeah.
And, you know, black folks, he wanted to fight.
Yeah. I mean, because the thing is, when you say that, Stephen Curry is just a reference point.
Yeah.
There are light-skinned people in this man's family that he don't want you to hear you say not black. There's biracial people. He may be in love with a biracial woman. Who look like Stephen Curry, and you like, oh, she ain't black. He like, what? Now I got to rewire my whole thinking, you know?
and that's why I've learned to just shut up
Yeah.
sometimes. Because I've learned through my experience of being unapologetic with it, black folks get violent.
Yeah.
Because what you said, you're pulling the rug from out under them.
Yeah.
And their brains is discombobulated.
Yeah.
And they may be thinking of their child, their baby mama, Beyonce, the quote unquote light skinned chick they lusting over that they want, and all that. But how I try to pull it is, look how they make us act. Look how you're acting just off me saying this. Look how you, like one dude, and I know he color struck. I ain't gonna say his name. He said Lizzo looked better than Candace Owens, and I was like, bro, see, that's the color struck in your ass.
That's cooning.
Yeah, cause
that's cooning. That's cooning.
Because you wouldn't say Gabby Cittabel looked better than Candace Owens. You clown her.
Yeah.
Precious. So it's like, I just try to point out to them, look how it's making you act and talk about your own people.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know? And because people, they get so caught up in defense, just because they're biracial, mixed up, doesn't mean they're a bad, horrible person.
It's kind of the leading cause of death in black men is heart disease, poor diet and exercise. Now they're saying the new population, the leading group of obesity is black women. So Lizzo is definitely doing everybody, all the black women, a disservice of trying to champion that, when what she could be doing is, because she's famous and she got so many eyes on her, she could be devoting her life to fitness as well as her music career and watching people see that journey, that change. One of the biggest changes, like me being a physical trainer and stuff like that at a time and helping people in yoga, is to watch somebody's transformation, especially when it's so dramatic. And that's one of the things that she could be doing. She could be inviting black women into that journey with her and inspiring these women. You know what I mean? Because ain't nothing fun about obesity. Ain't nothing, you know, about prematurely, you know, people having to go get dialysis, and you know, that ain't smooth. I've had people in my family that had to get toes amputated and stuff like that. You know,
trapped in your body.
Yeah, it ain't cool, man. Like that pushing that ain't cool. You know, it ain't about fat shaming nobody, or because at the end of the day, man, my mom always said beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? Me and you could both look at one female and think, I could think she's attractive, you could think she's not.
Right.
So that's subjective, but being in shape and having a proper heart rate is a matter of facts. It's a matter of science. We can measure that. We can't convince you that even like, you know, oh, you know, these are the best looking jeans, or look at my shirt, this is a nice shirt. You can argue all day over that. But the facts is what matter. Are you healthy or not? Is that a healthy lifestyle?
Exactly, and that's what I try to tell a lot of these sisters, that y'all don't realize the industry is setting you up for failure. Megan out here twerking, you don't need to be twerking nowhere in public. Lizzo pushing body positivity, however you want to call it, that's obesity.
Yeah.
You got people pushing colorism, now you got, I guess, a little scar lip, you pushing gangsterism on women, like, and these women don't see this is a show.
Yeah, but what I want to know is, to me, that was because she's a black woman, and if she's using hate speech, I gotta assume it's against us. By her rapping into that cut off sausage, to me, I took that as, are you rapping into a dick? Is that a castration?
I call it a glizzy. I guess that's what young people call it. But this is the thing. I've seen her, because I don't know the industry.
Could you imagine a male artist rapping into a cut off titty? Rapping into a vagina? They would say he hates women and take the video down. And
yeah, I don't think she's all the way there. Because I've seen her, she's been around Busta 50. Remove that song. Very nice woman, very lovely woman, very humble, loving. I mean, she bought Busta Rhymes a teddy bear. So this is stuff they don't see. She's being used. Yeah. But I think because she's not all the way, you know, whoever's handling her just want to get paid.
She's there enough, okay?
He said she's there enough.
I'm tired of all this pseudo mental illness.
Well, no. See,
so many people go do stupid shit and say, oh, Listen.
If somebody ignorant, I can't blame them. But unfortunately, due to the poverty, this and that, you got, I ain't gonna say elder.
I don't know anything about it. I'm just saying, like, with this, you get somebody who can launch a career, become successful, and then they turn around and say, oh, when something go wrong with the career, I am mentally ill. It's the same way, just like with the last fight with Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. And I said, listen, he can't fight Gervonta Davis because he a punk. He's scary. The same way when he got dropped that last fight, he was supposed to fight somebody, Ryan Garcia. He went off and started talking about he's not mentally there and this is that and the other, and mental illness is the real thing. You need to get help. It's like, yo,
that's an excuse.
It's an excuse, bro. You a punk. You punked out and you calling it mental illness.
With these artists, we gotta understand, these are just dummies with money, a lot of them.
Yeah.
But because they on their spot.
Dummies who appear to have money. Because my whole thing is this, like I've said before, I know this might go off on a separate subject, but just say this in closing, if you gotta go. With all of these millionaire athletes, with all of these millionaire entertainers, if you talk about any ghetto in the hood, because black people, we're only in about maybe 10 different places in the country.
Right.
If there's millionaires from everywhere, some now even billionaires. We got a lot of billionaires now. If you think about Diddy, Jay-Z, Kanye, Dre, you just talking about the entertainers.
Right.
Then the other cat who used to own BET. But if what wealth really is it should be your ability to affect change, to affect your people. And none of them have enough money to do that. So what does the money matter? Or maybe they're not willing to do it because they're scared they're going to lose the money, or people are going to pull sponsorships from them. Because none of these people are worth, this is America. Nobody is worth what they say they worth. It's a fucking lie. It's inflated. We're not producing enough stuff to be that. Where's your product at? At the end of the day, what did you produce? Where's this money at? What is it going to enable you to do? It's going to enable you to get a mortgage to a house that you always pay taxes on, get a fast car that you always have to pay the registration on. Like, what does it mean? How do you, like for example, somebody like Stephen Curry, how are you afforded more freedom in life than I am right here in the States? At the end of the day, I can go around my people and do whatever I want to do. And would that be the same for him? Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why when people, I be like, man, ain't no such thing as no rich nigga in America. And people be like, oh, you hating? They be like, okay, you got a chain, you get a car, you get a house.
You got the money, but you can't do nothing with it.
You can't do nothing with it.
So
it's the same. It's the same as the movie Life. You remember on the movie Life, the white dude in Life, he never had a gun in his hand until he handed it to Eddie Murphy at the end. Said, remember he told me, he said, if you step off them bottles, you shoot him in the ass. You do that, you a free man. Other than that, it was the black man who had the rifle the whole time. It would have been so easy for him to shoot that white dude, and all them black men is free. All he had to do was just bam, and everybody's free. Everybody free. So what's the point of having a gun if you ain't go? What's the point of the money? If you're gonna use it the way supremacy tell you to use it, you ain't got shit.
You ain't got nothing.
You ain't got shit. You his golfer. It's just like, you be like, oh look, nigga, I'm gonna let you hold on to this money because you made this music. Oh, you trying to start a black school, nigga? Give me that money. You know, Poe again.
And that's the thing, D. Before they get well, I guess it used to be Sam Cooke, but before they get R. Kelly, you know.
Yeah.
They don't do nothing with the money.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, it'd be different.
Because they know that they can't spend their money on revolution. They know it.
They can't.
Without even somebody having to sit them down and tell it. They know it. Because nobody else has done it.
And that's why, as we doing now, I stay independent.
Yeah.
I ain't cutting no deals. I don't want nothing. I'm independent. We can partner. Because if somebody controls what you get access to, what you are putting out there, it's already compromised.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and I don't want nobody in my shit. Cause ain't nobody gonna tell me what I can say or what I can't say. I didn't sign nothing with nobody.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of black people forget that we have some freedom. You got the freedom of your mouth.
Yeah.
You can say what you want to say, but you better be able to.
Sometimes.
You can say it. You better be able to stand up and fight the war if it comes.
Yeah, and then some, another thing we have is we have the freedom of silence.
You ain't gotta say nothing.
Sometimes keep your mouth shut and just do the work, man. Because one thing about black people, the fucked up part about it, if there was a revolution, it would be televised, and then they would get us. The same way they niggas be like,
it'd be Instagram.
Yeah. He'd be like, Ronald and Joey talking about running away, master. They say they gonna come back and get you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, come on. Joey he got a knife. He gonna stick you when you go to sleep, master. And, then guess what? Now you out there strung up, you're laid up. Motherfucker, make a lampshade out of your ass, teach you a lesson. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers talk too much. Just do the work, man. Just do the work. That's why we can't confuse boxing with real life. In boxing, yes, it makes sense to go and promote the fight. To go run and tell everybody everything you about to do. This is not true combat. At the end of the day, this is controlled. If I get dropped, the ref ain't gonna let you stomp me out. And I'm gonna get a check. You know what I mean? So, it's like, come on, but if we gotta go and promote this. Other than that, man, you don't promote no confrontation.
Never.
Come on, man.
Never.
It's on a hush. How many football players practice in a closed stadium because they scared of a drone copying their plays and gonna tell the other team? And that's fucking football.
They war games.
Yeah, they are war games. They are war games.
But if you ain't looking at it like that, it's just my team. We won the championship.
It's not your team. If you don't get a check from some of that profit, it is not your team. You are a supporter, a spectator. It's not yours.
Donald Sterling told us that.
Why is this flag up there and they're in Frisco?
Exactly.
They're in Frisco now. I mean, what are we doing? Like, what are we talking about?
Terrible.
Terrible. How long they been in Frisco? How many years now?
Like 3.
3.
3 or 4.
Come on, man.
But all right. So in closing, any last words that you got to share with?
Man, listen. Take your health serious. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that you can and can't control, but your health is one of them. Control your health, and just know that your mental health is directly tied to your physical health. Sometimes when you cannot change your circumstances, when you don't have the ability to go to work and force them to give you a raise, you may still be in college or somewhere struggling, trying to become what you're going to become, and you can't change your economical circumstance to be able to afford saying, oh, I'm going to eat clean or I'm going to eat this. But you can still control your output. You can work out. You can drink you some water and you can work out. You can take your health serious, put your health serious, and that's it. You know, take your health serious, black man and black woman, man. Because you only get one body. Unless they doing some avatar shit that I don't know about, they can transport your fucking brain into something else. Other than that, you stuck in the body that you take care of or don't. You know what I mean? Take your health serious.
That's what it is. Well, all right, my brother, I thank you for coming on. It's been a long time coming.
Been a long time coming, man. We got it done.
A bunch of delays, but we did it.
We got it done, and go do it again.
Yeah, we got more coming.
You know, and thank you to you for sharing your platform for me. And all of the views of this man are not that of my own. You know, I support him in everything that he do. But sometimes you're like, man, I can't believe he did it. Ain't go that man. You know what I mean? So, and some of us are in a privileged position to be able to say certain things that other ones can, and you put us all together as long as it's solid and we being truthful and honest. That's it. You know what I mean? But that's basically it. You know what I mean?
That's 100 because again, we all are on different paths, different journeys, but we know the mission. And it starts with us sitting down, whether agreeing or disagreeing, dialoguing. And I do want to say, it's you and another brother. I respect you brothers, because one's older than me and got some knowledge and game. But I respect that. If we have, I don't even call it a misunderstanding. We may have a difference of opinion. We can always sit in dialogue, or you just call me, hey, let's chop it up. I highly appreciate that. I respect that. Because usually somebody we just ain't gonna say nothing or fuck this nigga, fuck your opinion. No, let's talk about it. Explain it.
Man, you know, I've learned more from the way you feel can change. So it's I'm not so concrete. I just want black liberation. I just want my people to be in a better state ultimately. But there's people who you may disagree with them on one thing, and then they may give you a book or something. You be like, man, this brother didn't open my thoughts up to a whole nother, so you can disagree on it, but at the end of the day, you and I, we both want to see young black men on the moon. We want some black astronauts. You know what I mean? We want a black civilization. You know what I mean? So the rest of the stuff could be small, and that's the thing to know that when we haven't be able to, a lot of people on social media can have these scream wars where you're texting behind a safe place. Just because you can say almost anything don't mean you should. They open up the door for you for people to say crazy shit all the time in social media. That don't mean you should do it. It don't mean it's responsible. You get what I'm saying? And if I can say anything in closing is, everything on your social media, expect for them to play that in court. Man, I was a cop for so many years, and I still ended up fighting the fucking case. You know what I mean? At any given time, anybody can be up in there, and so just think about that. Think about all of this tough talk somebody's doing. Once you build this tough guy persona, imagine if you had to use force to defend yourself. all that stupid shit you done said is gonna come into question. And then there's gonna be a jury of your peers that judge you. And let me define what a peer is for you, because a lot of people don't know. When they say a jury of your peers, it's not somebody your age. It's not somebody who look like you. It's somebody who lives in the same area where the courtroom makes somebody your peer. And of the people that live in your area, how many people have been arrested, been convicted? Those people not getting a summons to jury duty, period. How many people is in dire straits? Oh, I don't want to be on jury duty. How many black people you done heard lie to get out of jury duty? Fool, that's your brother and your sister in their own trial. You don't even want to go see? Other people think it's their civic duty to sit in there. So when you go in there and somebody else done chose to do their civic duty on your ass, and they show up in there and don't nobody look like you, and they hold up your Instagram of the music you've been listening to, the threats you've been given, the things that you done said to other people, think of all that is going to be a part of your trial. Be conscious of the digital footprint you leave behind. I remember, man, rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. They did a tribute to him. Kevin Samuels always used to say on this show, man, dressing well is a display of good manners. This is a display of good manners. Well, then also the same thing's true for your social media, man. Conduct yourself and know that we don't have the ability to block kids from this shit yet. I wish we do. I wish there was a button that would just take all of the kids off of social media, period, and let grown-ups be grown-ups. You get what I'm saying? But that's it, man. You know, be conscious of what you put out there, because you can't ever pull it back.
That's what it is. So, yeah, appreciate you once again, my brother. This is Sane African Production. We here out in Oakland, home base, and catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.